It's time for
DodgerHeads.
high fly ball into right field. Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birds of party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by the big broccolini, Anthony Witrado, over there, here to talk Dodger baseball. And, an interesting, we got some topics tonight, Anthony. I like the hat. We got a nice color-coordinated hat sweatshirt deal from you. So I don't know if you heard noise about your hair on the last show or something like that or what, but I thought you looked good.
I appreciate that, Jeff. I think last time was just a no hat kind of vibe. But yeah, today haven't rocked the white with the blue letters in a while, so let's do it.
I don't need any inspiration to buy new hats, but I do like that hat, so I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Ton to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about some interesting quotes from Andrew Friedman on the overall age of the Dodgers core. This has been a common theme, a discourse when they were losing, especially. It got a little bit louder. We'll talk about that. Some interesting quotes about Dave Roberts and whether Teoscar Hernandez makes more sense in right field, left field, what the eye test says about that. We'll talk Edwin Díaz, introduced as a Dodger, some reactions to his press conference. Tyler Glasnow with some interesting quotes on the heels of all the Tarek Skubal rumors. And then the Dodgers add a couple guys to the organization we'll get to at the end. Matthew Moreno also going to join us at the tail end of this for kind of a fun announcement, something we've got coming up. So lots to get into. We'll start right from the jump with the super chat. Jedi Engineer, what do you think about Max Kepler over Harrison Bader? Bader's a guy that we've talked a lot about, Anthony. Kind of a, do you believe in the bat? Do you not believe in the bat? But at least he's a defensive stud out in center field, the guy you feel like you could bet on there. Kepler, career, a league average hitter, is left-handed, but 4 of the past 5 seasons has been below average when it comes to weighted runs created plus. Do you have a strong opinion about Max Kepler as it compares to Harrison Bader?
I would have to dig a little deeper into some of the other numbers. I think that the thing that attracts me for Bader, and I've been saying this, is that I think he's a floor raiser for the defensive outfield and the defense as a whole, because he would man a premium position in center. Kepler, I don't know if he has that kind of reputation defensively, but yeah, for me, the whole Bader thing is that it would be a quick contract. I would guess like 2 years, relatively cheap. And then a guy who can post every day for you with a good glove in up the middle position. So that's my whole thing with him. Kepler, I don't know that he does that. I would expect both guys to not give you much with the bat, though.
Yeah. Looking into Kepler, he's a corner outfielder. So if you are a believer in Andy Pages, which I don't think there's any reason to think he can't play center field, Kepler graded out in left field as slightly above average. In 2024, he was an above average right fielder, 2023 above average right fielder. So he's in an average to slightly above average defensive corner infielder that's like seemingly at best a league average bat. So that doesn't excite me a ton. I assume the cost will be a lot cheaper than Harrison Bader. So I suppose you could convince me there, but neither of these guys are super inspiring needle movers, I guess is where I'm at. And historically, I believe you're a little bit higher on Bader than I am. And again, I think it just comes down to like what do you think the bat really is? I don't think either of us believe he's going to be like an offensive all-star, but is he league average? Is he a little better than league average? Is he a little worse than league average? That's the interesting question.
Yeah, for me, any offense above league average is just bonus. That's how I would look at a signing like that. I would think with the Dodgers pro scouting and sort of game strategy, department there. I think they could turn him into an elite center fielder. He's already a really good outfielder. I think they could turn him into an elite defensive center fielder, and that's basically where I would hold all of his value.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Some more super chats here. Carlos says, Broccolini, do we get Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger? I hope this nickname doesn't stick. That wasn't intended to be a long-term nickname. Some rumors Cody Bellinger connected to the San Francisco Giants. Do you see a future for Tucker or Bellinger in LA?
I honestly do not. I would think Bellinger feels like a more like if one of these two were going to happen, I think Bellinger feels like the more likely, only because I think Tucker gets closer to what he's looking for. I think the odds of that happening are far higher than his market kind of cratering out, and then he ends up with the Dodgers on a 2, 3, 4 year deal. And then with Bellinger, I think that it's possible that they say like, hey, we'll pay you a little more. You come here for a couple of seasons. Even with that, though, I think Bellinger's going to get 4 or 5 seasons, and I don't think the Dodgers are willing to extend him that much. It's going to be an overpay for him. So a team like the Giants makes sense because they're going to have to overpay for somebody to go there. So like less than 5% for both guys going to the Dodgers, but I think maybe Bellinger's slightly more likely if it happens.
Yeah. I love Cody Bellinger, his run as a Dodger. I don't love the idea of signing Cody Bellinger, the current player, to a long-term deal and the fit there. I don't think Kyle Tucker is likely, but I've learned more and more this offseason. Never rule anything out with the Dodgers. Never assume that a guy's market is going to develop. Never assume that the Dodgers aren't going to backdoor themselves into a conversation with a guy and all of a sudden he's signed a couple of days later. But neither of those feels likely. I think Bellinger's probably more likely, but I would prefer Tucker, and I don't think either of them is particularly likely. So
yeah, agree.
300 chiming in on the conversation we're going to have here in just a minute about the Dodgers' age. Says, I don't worry about age. I worry about 2 of our best players showing signs of decline. Father Time is undefeated. They need to add a bat. I guess by this definition, I am also not worried about age. It just so coincidentally happens that as your age number goes up, Father Time continues to be undefeated and signs of decline increase. So numbers don't matter to me, but when you get to 32, 33, 34, 35, and your numbers start to decline, call me crazy, Anthony. I think those 2 things are probably connected.
Yeah. They have been for all of time. I think that I assume one of the guys that 300 is talking about here is Mookie, and I do expect a bounce back season for him. I don't, we've been saying it. We said it all summer. I don't think he bounces back to like MVP level Mookie Betts. I think those days are probably past him now, but I still think that he can produce offensively at a level where, he's one of the better guys on the team. So I do think he bounces back there. I think last year had a lot of just kind of weird circumstances for him personally, like, the illness and the family stuff and just everything. So I would bet on him being better than what his numbers looked like last year.
Yeah, and I think to the point, I was obviously being facetious. Not every 34-year-old is going to like fall off a cliff at the exact same age. There are some guys that are going to produce at 36, 37, and there are other guys that are going to fall off a cliff at 32. To the point of the question, it's not about just like, oh my gosh, we're old, therefore we stink. It's more a concern of, okay, let's pay closer attention when guys' numbers age starts with a 3, and then all of a sudden stuff starts to decline. You take it a little more seriously. And this is one of the things we wanted to hit and ask the question, how concerning is the overall age of this roster? Last season, they were the oldest roster in Major League Baseball. They have not done a ton to change that. Obviously, Clayton Kershaw has gone off of the books, but they have re-signed Miguel Rojas, not young. They have signed Edwin Diaz, who will be 32 by the time this upcoming season begins. There's a strong likelihood Teoscar Hernandez will be back. So they haven't exactly gotten younger, Anthony. So before I get to some Friedman quotes and numbers, for you, just baseline, how concerned are you with the age of this roster?
Not overly concerned. I think that they got better so far this offseason. With the Diaz signing, I think that they'll find somebody to fill in the outfield as well. And I think that player, based on what we saw out of what was mostly left field last season, mostly Michael Conforto, is going to also be an upgrade, probably defensively and potentially, I would imagine, offensively, even if it's not by a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think that this team, even though they might get older technically, is probably going to get better still than they were last season. And then I also am not overly concerned because I think some of these positions are at least in two of the outfield positions are stopgap guys. Like Teo, I think is that type of guy now. He's got 2 years left on the deal. Whoever they bring in, I would imagine, is on something like a 2-year, 3-year, maybe 4-year kind of deal, depending on who the player is.
Yeah.
And then you have, if everything goes as expected, a bunch of young guys kind of coming in. 2 of those probably in the outfield. There's a bunch of guys on the pitching side in their 20s. So I'm not overly concerned. Now, if you wanted to say like, okay, this is maybe a little bit of something to think about, it's the Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, right? Like those guys who are older and who are your stars. But Shohei's coming off a 50-50 season and a unanimous MVP, this last season. And so like his age, he's aging differently. Let's say that.
Yeah, here are the guys on the Dodgers roster who are over the age of 30. Edwin Díaz, like I said, will be 32 by the time this upcoming season happens. Tyler Glasnow is 32. Tanner Scott is 31. Blake Snell is 33. Blake Trinan is 37. Shohei Ohtani is 31. Will Smith is 30. Betts is 33. Freeman, 36. Muncy, 35. Teo, 33. Tommy Edman, 30. All of these guys are massive contributors. As we pointed out, not all of them are declining, although some of them, I think it's safe to say a large number of guys on this list, their best years are probably behind them.
Sure.
But the thing that I would say in response to like they're too old is we don't have to find something we don't love about this roster. Like you're just allowed to enjoy the fact that they won back-to-back World Series titles and that they're going to be the favorites in 2026. Like it's okay to not be too stressed out about 2028 as we sit here today and like, well, what's Mookie Betts going to look like at 35 and what's Freddie Freeman going to look like at 38? You know what matters way more is what's Mookie Betts going to look like at 33. I'm with you. I think he's going to be fine, if not more than fine. Freddie Freeman at 36. You know what? I think Freddie Freeman's going to be really freaking good in 2026, no matter what the age is. I think Ohtani's going to be fine. I think Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell are going to be fine. I think Edwin Diaz is going to be fine. Like I know what their ages look like. Somebody in the chat said it, and I apologize. I don't know who. Parades over prospects. Like, focus on winning titles. The goal is not to be younger. The goal is to be good. As far as I'm concerned, Anthony, the Dodgers are very good.
Yeah. They're going to go in again, I think, when the season starts with the most talented roster on paper. Yeah. And as long as guys stay relatively healthy, they'll be the most talented roster on the field as well. So, I think the way they've built this, when they started signing guys, they knew that this was going to be a thing. But I think they always thought that they could supplement with the guys who were going to keep the window open, regardless of age. Edwin Diaz is a really good example. He's over the age of 30, but he's a guy who immediately makes this team better. And I think it would be one thing if they were signing aging stars who were clearly in decline and you were like, I don't know if that guy is actually better. They're signing guys, the guys who they have are older, have made this team better. Like Mookie Betts signed in 2020. Right. So that deal's a little, that's an older deal. Same with Freddie Freeman. But what they've continued to do is put pieces around those guys as they have gotten older to continue to leave this window for a championship wide open. And we've just seen that with 2 back-to-back ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at some of just a list of contributors under the age of 30. This list is a lot smaller. Jack Dreyer, Brusdar Graterol, Andy Pages, Emmett Sheehan, Alex Vesia, Justin Robleski, and of course, Yoshinobu Yamamoto on this list. These are the guys kind of in that 26 to 29 range for the most part. Robleski and Pages both 25. So I guess 25 to 29 range. But the reality is, like, if you go on and say, okay, who are the youngest teams in Major League Baseball in 2025? And what was the success of those teams, right? To be honest, younger teams, not good teams.
They're usually not good.
Here's an order. Guardians, Nationals, Marlins, White Sox, Mariners, Rockies, Rays, Pirates, right? Like a couple of those teams are good. Then you get to Brewers, good. Twins, Athletics, Tigers, Reds, Astros, right? Like there's a reason that age tends to reward some of the teams on the other end of that. And so,
and part of this is financial, right? Like a team like the Brewers, they're always going to be pretty young relative to the field because they're not going to extend a whole bunch of their guys.
yeah,
Right? Like if the Dodgers have a player like Andy Paez and he continues to progress the way he did from year 1 to year 2, he's eventually probably going to get some sort of extension. That's a thing that the Brewers typically aren't going to do. Or if they do it, it's like 1 or 2 of their guys. Look, they're looking to trade their best pitcher last season because they don't want to pay him. So those kinds of teams are typically going to end up being younger, like always.
yeah. And let me correct myself. The list I read was pitcher age. Here's total age. The bottom: Marlins, Rays, Nationals, Guardians, Brewers, White Sox, A's, Cardinals, Tigers, Rockies, Angels. Aside from the Brewers, none of those teams are good. You want to look at the top end: Dodgers, Padres, Rangers, Blue Jays, Cubs, Phillies, Royals, Mets, Yankees, Orioles, Diamondbacks. Like, those are all the good teams. So you want to have good players. They're going to be a little bit older. But what was interesting about this conversation is Andrew Friedman was asked about this, and this is what he had to say. It's front of mind for us as we look out. I wouldn't necessarily say in 2026, but it is definitely something we're going to have to be thoughtful with, how to bring along some of our talented young players and incorporate them into that core. That being said, it's a constant challenge because we have the highest of expectations going into each season. But I do think it's something we're going to have to be deliberate and thoughtful about as we look out, right? He is putting into words what all of us are saying and feeling, which is, of course, being able to take a 25-year-old like Andy Paez and incorporate him to the lineup, get him experience, allow him to contribute is important. And yet, the season can't be dependent on Alex Freeland and Ha-Seong Kim and some of these guys figuring it out. It's like, I know this isn't ideal for you to not be able to play, but the goal is to win a World Series. And that's the balance that Andrew Friedman acknowledges, and that I don't envy, Anthony, the challenge that they have to, okay, we can go out and trade for insert outfielder that's really good, who's probably 30 to 32 years old right now. But if that costs us 1 or 2 of these 20-year-old kids who might be the future, how do we balance those two things, pushing the chips in now while making sure, as they've established, the goal is sustainable winning? It's winning, but it's sustainable winning as well.
And I would say to this point, they've threaded the needle immaculately.
Perfectly.
Like since 2013, 2014,
Yeah.
This has been a generational kind of run that this front office and this team has been on. I think the other part of it too is that for a very long time, up until Mookie Betts, basically, they were very hesitant to sign anybody except for Clayton Kershaw, I guess you could say, to a what we would consider a long-term free agent or extension contract. Yeah. Mookie Betts was the first one, and then the dominoes started to fall because I think they recognized, here is our window now. They were built at that time with a lot of homegrown guys, and so that average age was a bit younger, right? You had the Seagers, and the Will Smith was very young, and some of those other guys, Bellinger, and so after Mookie, then came Freddie, and then a little bit later came Ohtani, and then now they signed Yamamoto to the 12-year deal, right? Like, so they started to identify guys like, okay, these are the guys who we believe are going to be great for culture, and they're going to be great on the field. And then they went all in on this window, and they've gotten two rings out of it. And so now it's going to be a little bit of a different challenge, because when they were threading that needle previously, they didn't have these long-term aging deals on the books. Now they're going to. I have total confidence that they'll be able to figure it out, though. And also, these guys who are aging are like still really, really good.
For sure. And Edwin Diaz, like, is anybody complaining that they signed Edwin Diaz because he's 32 years old? Like, no, he's the best closer in baseball, has been. And expectations, if you had to pick somebody, you would pick him moving forward. But even if you look at how this group was assembled, as I look at some of the older players, Diaz a free agent, but look at Tyler Glasnow. The Dodgers trade 2 young players in Ryan Pepio and Johnny DeLuca in order to go get and then extend Tyler Glasnow. That has worked out for them. They signed Blake Snell. They signed Blake Trinan. They sign Ohtani. They draft and develop Smith. They trade for Mookie Betts. Again, you trade young players for Mookie Betts. Guess what? None of those guys panned out. You sign Freddie Freeman. You basically develop Max Muncy. You sign Teoscar Hernandez. You trade for Tommy Edman. And then on the flip side, while you're doing that, you're making the Michael Busch trade, where you're trading a guy, major league level player, and you're replenishing. The best example is the Dustin May trade. The Dodgers traded a contributing major league pitcher in the middle of a World Series run last year. And what did they do? They went and got 2 outfielders that are going to start the year in AAA probably and are knocking on the door, right? Like they trade Gavin Lux. And what do? They add a guy who's one of their top 5 prospects. They add an extra draft pick. So they've been able, when you say they've threaded the needle perfectly, that's it. They have both traded prospects to go capitalize on guys who are available. They have given up qualifying offer penalties. And at the same time, when they need to, they've traded from their major league roster to replenish the farm system to the point that, like, even though they've gone out and gotten all sorts of players, Anthony, you could probably make the case that they're almost net neutral as far as prospects out and prospects in, if not more prospects coming in as far as quality goes, probably better prospects coming in trades than any that have gone out.
Totally. And like, there's some comments in here talking about, like, our buddy Hep C has, said that, we haven't developed anybody on the positional side since Will Smith. And it's like, well,
Pages?
yes and no on this roster. But you also look at, to Jeff's point about, like, they've traded guys to get better. And some of those guys have been position players. You look around the league, there's a bunch of former Dodger prospects that are in Major League Baseball contributing to their current teams now. When the Dodgers moved those guys, it was in a win now kind of move every single time. And so you're going to get that when you're constantly in essentially a win now move, but you're also trying to straddle the line of, like, we got to keep our farm system replenished or stocked. You're going to get things like that. It's going to happen. For the Dodgers to have a top-ranked farm system and to continue to win the division every single year is something that's essentially unheard of.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Almost nobody has ever done that for as long as the Dodgers. Actually, no organization has kept their farm system in the shape that it's been in and then won their division for more than a decade straight and had both those and been able to run in both lanes the way the Dodgers have. Nobody ever.
And can we mention that the Dodgers have developed Andy Pages, who's a 25-year-old center fielder who everybody agrees should have been an all-star last year? Like, does he count as a developed? Right. If you look on the pitching side, Jack Dreyer, undrafted free agent, developed. Brusdar Graterol acquired as a prospect. Emmett Sheehan developed. Alex Vesia traded for and developed. Justin Robleski drafted and developed. Andy Pages signed as an international free agent and developed. Right, then you go into the farm system. It's loaded with position players. You've got Josue De Paula, international free agent, 20 years old. Zaire Hope, traded for, being developed, 20 years old. Quintero, international free agent, developed. Mike Sirota, traded for, being developed. Alex Freeland, drafted and developed. Edgardo Enriquez, developed. Jackson Ferris, developed. River Ryan, traded for, developed. Dalton Rushing, drafted and developed. Like, these, I just named 9 prospects who are 24 and under, who are sort of either here in the case of, like, a River Ryan, Dalton Rushing, Alex Freeland, Edgardo Enriquez type. But there's also the next wave coming with these 20-year-olds as well.
Correct. I also think that we would be not looking at the entire picture and its relevance to the current roster if we didn't talk about their major league player development as well. And looking at guys like Justin Turner and Chris Taylor and Max Muncy and et cetera, guys who have, and a bunch of guys in the bullpen, guys who have been essentially out of baseball when the Dodgers went and got them and then turned them into all-stars.
Yep.
Like that, I think that matters too, because while they may not be like guys that they drafted, those are guys that they took from nothing and made them into everyday contributors.
Yeah, I'm with you. So again, that's one of the funniest lines. And I mean, we've had tons of debate, not me and you, but other people on the show and me, about, like, the Dodgers quote unquote inability to develop position players. It's just laughable to me. I think it was Matty Man in the chat. It's like Zach McKinstry, Michael Bush, Luke Raley. You look around the league, these are guys that were developed by the Dodgers, Gavin Lux, of course, and have gone out and had successful careers or are in the midst of successful careers. And so it's like, you can't penalize the Dodgers and say, well, they didn't come up with the Dodgers, like they're performing somewhere else. Okay, then fine. Do we get credit for every player that's traded into the organization then, if we're going to play by those rules? Because most of the time in that debate, you get credit for neither. The guys that are get traded out, it's not your fault anymore. The guys that get traded in, you blame the other team,
Right. So, agree.
Let's get to some super chats. Carlos says, do you think Freddie Freeman gets a contract extension after the 2027 season? We just talked about how old Freddie Freeman is. He's 36 at the moment. So at age 38, does Freddie Freeman get an extension?
I don't think so. I think he might also be done too at that
I mean,
point.
the big question is hits. So he's at 24-31 in the hits
Yeah.
department. So and he's coming off 153 and 164. So you do that math, he's basically going to have to play for 4 more seasons to get to 3,000 hits.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's I forgot about that. That is something that's been brought up before with him. Look, he's still producing at a really high level, like a really high level. If he continues to do that for 2 more years, I could absolutely see the Dodgers giving him 2 more years on top of that. You know, is that going to continue? We'll see. He has shown 0 signs of regression in terms of like overall production. Maybe slightly in the power numbers, but he was never really like a big raw power home run kind of guy ever. And so, you know, he's aged incredibly well. He's one of the hitters of his generation who has aged the best of anybody.
Yeah. And when they traded for him, you know, I always use Trey Turner as a counterpoint. Like when you look at players in free agency as they are aging, this is to 300 super chat earlier. It's not just about age and looking at a number and making a decision, because what Trey Turner does is entirely dependent on his athleticism.
Yeah.
What Freddie Freeman does is 0% dependent on his athleticism, right? Like it's hand-eye coordination. It's getting his hands through. It's being able to make picks over at first base. Of course, that's going to all get harder at age 38, 39, 40. I'm not downplaying that, but like a large part of what he does is going to regress a much slower than what some other players are trying to do. And so the hard part for me is when you do the math and say, okay, if you're 600 hits away, 569 hits away, and you're averaging 150 to 165 the last 2 years, 4 years seems like a lot, you know? So it's like, okay,
Right.
The Dodgers, there's no DH spot in LA. That would be the tricky part to me. Now it's first base. He's incredible at digging that ball out, right? He saved the Dodgers multiple times in the postseason. People can talk about the range all they want. I want a guy over there that's going to make every single freaking pick, and that's Freddie Freeman. So I could see it. I think he's going to hit. I just don't know, like, roster fit-wise with the Dodgers. Are they going to be like, yo, you can't be a DH here, and we're not sure how long first base is going to hold on? That would be the concern to me, Anthony.
Yeah, I think that would be the main question. But again, if he's putting up a 140 WRC plus or OPS plus, it doesn't matter. The guy's still an all-star caliber offensive player.
Yeah, I'm with you. Carlos says, will the Dodgers make one more splash this offseason? This goes back to our conversation. Let's define a splash here. But I think the Dodgers are going to sign the primary outfielder. They're going to trade for or sign the guy who's going to get the most reps of anyone on the roster in one of the 3 outfield spots. So are we defining that as a splash? Like if they trade for a Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, Jarren Duran type, does that qualify as a splash? Does Harrison Bader qualify as a splash? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, then I think yes, they will be making a splash this offseason.
I agree. To that, I think they're all out of blockbusters for this winter. Like if you of the guys,
it's a dangerous thing to say with this team, Anthony. It's a dangerous
totally
thing.
Absolutely, and that is always a caveat with this club. But I think if you talk about like any of the names that you just mentioned, I don't think the baseball world considers any of those blockbusters. Jarren Duran is like maybe on the gray area of that potentially, depending on what they give up for him. But I don't really think anybody else is. So in terms of that kind of move, like if we're thinking like a Kyle Tucker or something like that, I would say no. But I think those other kinds of you know, maybe a tier below moves there's one of those is probably still going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just laugh when you say like, you know, that we might be done with blockbusters. It's like, that's how stupid I felt when they signed Edwin Diaz. And I'm like, why was I the idiot that kept saying they're not going to sign Edwin Diaz? Like, of course, none of all of these things, we think in a lens that Andrew Friedman does not possess, where it's like, well, I mean, surely they're not going to go do Edwin Diaz too. And he's like, why not?
In our defense, also in their defense, like in Andrew Friedman has basically said he was the guy at the top of our list.
Yeah.
We checked in on him. And then we said, all right, we have to like kind of take a look at our other options. Because at that point, I think everyone still believed that Diaz was going to get more than 3 years.
Yeah.
And so, they started doing their due diligence on other guys, as they're obviously going to do no matter what. And we had always said too, this is essentially never going to happen. But if the number of years for Diaz were to come down, sure, the Dodgers are players for that. Not ever expecting it to come back to 3 years. And then when it did, the Dodgers pounced and they got their guy.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the Diaz press conference, but that was one of the things that jumped out to me as well. Ravens Moreland says, front office clarified Glasnow and Teo situations. We'll get to that. What about Emmett Sheehan? Name has been floating. I don't think Emmett Sheehan's name has been floating, except in the circles of like, oh, the Dodgers may or may not be connected to Tarek Skubal, ... Well, if they're going to get Skubal, then surely Sheehan would have to be moved, ... Like, there are reports that Teoscar Hernandez's name has come up in trade conversations. I have not seen a single report that mentions Emmett Sheehan. I think his name has only been brought up because it's the logical filler where there's like this mystery. Well, what would they trade for? Insert player here, right? Like Sheehan's name is not being shopped in any way, shape, or form.
Right. He keeps coming up because he is the most attractive piece in a package that you would have to put together for like a Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
And so that's why his name is keeps coming up. But like, there's been no reports that teams have said that the Dodgers are dangling Sheehan, or that teams are even asking for Sheehan, because there hasn't been any of those kinds of conversations. Even the Teo stuff is a little bit misleading because from everything that I understand it to be, the Dodgers aren't necessarily shopping Teoscar Hernandez. Other teams who have talked to the Dodgers have asked about Teoscar Hernandez, and the Dodgers are going to say, well, how interested are you? Yeah. And that's very different than the Dodgers are calling teams and saying, hey, would you be interested in Teoscar?
Yep. Agreed. Let's see. Zenji says, I missed the chat about Fernando the other night. The more I reflect on it, the more pissed I get about the Hall of Fame vote. Where is the 34 respect? I was not on that show, and I totally agree with you. I'm spacing on the name now, so I apologize to whoever wrote it. But we had an interview that basically with a guy who wrote a book that chronicled the Fernando story. Somebody in the chat help me out with this because it's just spacing right now. But like, to hear the impact that Fernando had on baseball, that's the hard part. We're going to talk like analytics and numbers, and that's good. And one of the things that we'll probably get accused of me being wrong about this, but I actually think we're good about, is you use the numbers as a starting point, maybe, but it is not telling the entire story. And I think that's the problem with Fernando in the Hall of Fame. Like, if you just look at his numbers in a vacuum, they aren't good enough. But if you look at his numbers and you were there, which I wasn't, but talking to people who were there, who lived through it, and you see how the game of baseball has changed, how the Dodgers organization has changed, how the city of Los Angeles has changed because of one singular person, the idea that he is not in the Hall of Fame is genuinely, like, look, I'm not a Jeff Kent guy. We'll just say that. The idea that Jeff Kent is in the Hall of Fame and Fernando Valenzuela is not is the stupidest thing that I've ever heard. The stupidest thing that I've ever heard. 20 years from now, people will forget Jeff Kent existed. Nobody is going to forget that Fernando Valenzuela played baseball, played for the Dodgers, and changed the game.
Totally. If you go to the Dodger Blue X account, you can kind of scroll down there. And I think today they posted the clip of the show that Matt and I did where we talked about the Fernando snub, and sort of, I went on a bit of a rant there about it. But yeah, it's a total, it's completely ridiculous that they can't understand the significance and the impact that Fernando Valenzuela had on not just the Dodgers organization, but I think Mexican American, and Latino fan bases in general across baseball. There are third generation baseball fans now of those descents that the roots of that fandom started because of Fernando Mania. And I think the impact of that is essentially immeasurable, but it's also, you can look around any ballpark and understand it. And so for them to continue to miss on him it's shameful. It really, really is shameful.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
And the Dodgers also are not without some fault in this, because they took far too long to and not that this would have changed the outcome of the Hall of Fame stuff, but they took far too long to officially recognize him and his impact by retiring his number.
Yeah, because they had basically had a rule that you had to be elected to the Hall of Fame
Correct.
in order to be retired. They made one exception, but for the longest time, Fernando wasn't the second exception. He now has been, unfortunately, far too late, as you said. So, absolutely. Rebecca asks, what is the update on Freddie's injuries? The reality is we don't have any. Team Canada seemed to suggest that there were procedures being done. Andrew Friedman said there are no procedures being done. That's what we know. We're kind of in this weird spot where guys aren't around. People aren't talking to players. So you'll just have to keep tabs on if Freddie gets interviewed somewhere and somebody asks him about it. Otherwise, we're a couple months away from spring trainings and updates like that. Let's get to another story here. Teoscar Hernandez. Some interesting quotes from Dave Roberts. This is a topic that I know comes up a lot on our show, Anthony. Teoscar Hernandez in right field versus Teoscar Hernandez in left field. Dave said this, quote, could he move to left? Potentially. But I will say, warn yourself, trigger warning for lots of people here, by the way. I will say from my eye test, the last game in Colorado, the last time we were in Denver, from that point on, his right field defense was at least average. So for me, that was sufficient with the bat potential. So we'll have conversations, but I do think with the versatility potential and how we potentially shape the roster, there's some options. But right now, he's our right fielder. Dave Roberts, Anthony, says that the eye test told him Teoscar was fine in right field from the Colorado series onward. Does your eye test match up with Dave Roberts' eye test?
I mean, if the definition of fine is fine for Teoscar Hernandez, then I guess
he said
sure,
at least average. He said his defense was, quote, at least average.
Yeah, he was not average. He was below average. The defensive numbers are not perfect, but they all bear out that Teoscar Hernandez was below average. I think that their preference is probably to move him to left because it means that they went out and got somebody who's better defensively than he is just in a vacuum, and so they would be able to move him. While we know that more balls get hit to left field, I think because it is left field, some of the mistakes are less penal than they are in right field. Yeah. And I think that's part, not completely, but it's part of why Teoscar's issues there were more magnified this season than they were in his first year with the Dodgers when he played left mostly. So not great in either. He's going to have more opportunities to potentially be bad if he goes to left field. But again, I think if he does screw something up, the potential for it to be as harmful as it is in right field is a little bit less.
This is a take that people don't like every time I make it. I don't think defensive metrics are perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna give you two things. I'm gonna give you defensive metrics, and I'm acknowledging that they do not tell the whole story. But I'm also going to give you a track record of the teams that Teoscar Hernandez has played on, and where each of them has believed he is best defensively. Let's go back to 2018. Defensively, he graded out worse in left field than in right field. Played both, graded out worse in left field than in right field. 2019 played both, graded out worse in left field than in right field. 2020 played right field, played center field, did not get a single lick in left field. 2021, 5 times more attempts in right field. 2022, 20 times more attempts in right field. So 2023 did not play left field. 2024, worse in left field. He was -1 outs above average in right field, -8 outs above average in left field. So what I'm saying is, like, he has basically been worse in left field every time he's played left and right in the same season. And every team, Toronto and now Los Angeles, has preferred to play him in right field rather than in left field. So I know we're watching him in right field and it stinks. And
I don't know that the Dodgers prefer to play him in right field, though.
What's that?
I don't know that the Dodgers prefer to play him in right field.
So why does he play right field?
Because Michael Conforto was in the other corner.
Okay. So but why not move Michael Conforto?
But again, I think right field is a more premium defensive position than left field is. And I think they thought Teo, who's at least played right field more, is probably better there than Michael Conforto would have been. I think they were picking their poison. They're not like necessarily the guy who they thought was going to be good.
You think the Dodgers looked at Teo and Conforto and thought Teo was better defensively than Conforto?
In right field.
Because Conforto played right field in his career. 2023, he played in right field more than he played in left field. 2024, he was back to left field. They easily could have swapped these guys.
I think they were both awful. And
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, and so they were just like, we'll just leave Teo in right where he's played more recently, maybe. I don't think they prefer to play him there. I think if they got a really good center fielder, Teo would be in left field.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just looking at like historically, he has been placed in right field more than he has played in left field. And when he does play left field, he grades out way worse there than in right field.
Agree. Yeah, agree.
So why are we moving him back to left field if he historically is worse in left than he is in right?
Well, I keep saying it. Typically, mistakes in left field cost your team less than mistakes in right field do. Also, you want your better. I'm not saying Teo has a Andy Pages kind of arm or anything like that, but you want your better arm also in right field. So if you have a guy in left field who doesn't have a great arm, you play the guy with the better arm in right field typically.
So the argument you're making, because I'm tracking what you're saying now, is yes, he stinks in left field, and you're even maybe willing to admit he's worse in left field than he is in right field.
I agree, yeah.
But you're saying, but the mistakes in left will hurt us less than the mistakes in right.
Correct, and that's
why
why
I'm saying the wall's not a triple; it's a double.
Exactly. And I'm saying my other argument is that I don't think they prefer to play him in right field. I think they did it out of necessity last season.
Yeah, and that's the hard part for me because, again, you have Conforto who could play right, like had played right as recently as 2023. Obviously, we're talking about the 2025 season. And Conforto was not good. I would be hard-pressed to find somebody who thinks he was worse than Teoscar Hernandez. So if that's the case,
I think part of this is probably Teo's preferences
and is better than than Teoscar Hernandez, why were they playing the positions they were playing?
I think part of this is probably if you ask Teoscar Hernandez, would you rather play left field or right field? He probably would rather play right field. And so I think when you have Teo, who's an incumbent on the roster, with Conforto coming in as the new guy, I think part of that is just keeping Teo happy. Like, okay, you would prefer to play right field. You go play right field. We'll put the new guy coming in to play left field where he had been playing the last couple of seasons, and then call it a day. And know that both are probably going to be bad.
Yeah. And to answer a question in the chat, yes, I think Teoscar Hernandez makes more sense in right field than in left field because historically he has graded out better there. I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying as bad as he was last year, I think the case could be made he's going to be worse in left field. Now, to your point, maybe the penalties are less when he does make those stupid mistakes.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. If the Dodgers went out and got a legit center fielder, where would you put?
I would move Teo to left if Pages is taking right.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think that sort of falls into the idea that, like, well, yeah, he's going to be worse there. But if you wanted just your better defender in left field, then they would just move Pages over there. I think, again, it's more that the right field is a premium defense. It's not premium, but it's a bigger defensive position than left field is. I bring this up every once in a while, but when I covered the Brewers, and the entire league realized that you cannot play Ryan Braun in the infield, they didn't move him to right field. They moved him to left field where he could do the least amount of damage to the team.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Super chat from Music to My Ears, going back to Fernando. Valenzuela is the only pitcher to win the Cy Young and Rookie of the Year in the same year. Yeah, totally. Valenzuela,
and like you mentioned too, like, and I said it on that show that we did that night. He does not have the numbers. I would not have voted for him purely based on numbers. And I think there's some people who are in the chat who are saying, well, he doesn't make it on the numbers. So I understand the miss. The Hall of Fame has criteria where you can make the Hall of Fame based on your contribution / impact on baseball in a non-statistical way. And the Hall of Fame has a bunch of those guys. For Fernando to not get in on that criteria is what is really, really just, to me, inexplicable.
Totally. And again, I think you have to say at the same time, which we're both saying, is like, and he's also was really good too. Like, it's not like we're talking about
totally
like Michael Conforto, 2025 Michael Conforto, and saying no, but he had a cultural impact. Like, we're talking about a guy who was a Cy Young winner, was a Rookie of the Year, etc.
Absolutely. And if you dig deep enough, the LA Times did a really good story on this just before that vote happened. He has better numbers than guys who are in the Hall of Fame based on their numbers.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's move on here. Let's talk Edwin Diaz, officially introduced as a Dodger. Anthony, what were your immediate takeaways from the press conference, the media, all the stuff that came out. My first starters is I just think the number 3 looks real clean. That's a nice looking number on my closer. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing. I saw there was some mock-ups of him before the press conference happened of him in the number 3, and I thought it was just a mock-up. I didn't check the roster. I didn't know if anyone was wearing 39 or not. But when I saw the uniform, I was like, oh, I like how this looks. It's very cool, very clean. I like it. I'm a big fan of the single-digit number and the number 3.
Yeah, and for those that don't know the context, the preferred number of 39 was retired by the Dodgers for Roy Campanella. So he chose 3, he said, because he has 3 kids. So shout out to that. And other things that jumped out, like one thing to me, Andrew Friedman, they were asked like, hey, you typically haven't had a traditional closer. And he's like, if you've got a guy that's good enough, I'm happy with a traditional closer, was kind of his answer there. That's a Sonic Cup. We're going to have to get to that later, Anthony. Just keep that on tabs, okay? But like him basically saying it, yeah, if we have Edwin Diaz, we're going to have a traditional closer. Like if we don't have Edwin Diaz, then maybe we get creative.
Yeah, when Kenley was in his prime, he was a 9th inning guy.
Yeah.
It was a little bit later when he was not so reliable that they started to move him around. But yeah, like you get a guy like this, you slot him in there. He's the guy who's going to shut it down for you. The other thing that really stood out to me from that was what we sort of suspected was that he had a real desire to come here. It wasn't that like the Dodgers made me the best offer and it was just like, that's where the most money was, so I wanted to go there. It was that I think he had in his head for a while, and this could be a part of the reason why he went down to 3 years, is that he wanted to play in this organization. Aside from all the winning they've done, he got really good reports from his brother who spent a short amount of time here in last season. And based on what Diaz has said is that all the reports from his brother were like, this is a first-class kind of organization through and through. And Diaz, coming from the Mets, who have their own sort of issues, I think wanted to go to the other end of the spectrum there and say, like, I want to play for a class organization and I want a chance to win. There's not a better team to go to if those are the things that you want.
The last thing I had written down was this would have been a rough press conference for a Mets fan to watch for like 100 different reasons. Yeah. But there was no like, oh, hey, I appreciate the Mets, everything they did for me and my family. It's going to be really hard not to play there. Like, we didn't get a ton of that. It was like, no, yeah, this is great. I'm super fired up to be a Dodger. And like, it's like, yeah, the money, like whatever, so tough days for Mets fans in that one. But Edwin Diaz, he's here. The entrance song is coming with him, which is good news as well.
My daughter, the last few days, anytime she sees the iPad come out or YouTube is on, she wants to hear, she calls it the song with the horse and the good guy and the bad guy. She's 3.
Okay.
The video, the official music video from what's it, Blast Jacks? Is that what's the name of the? I forget
Narco's
the
name of the song.
The name of the group that sings it,
got it. Okay.
With Timmy Trumpet. The song is called Narco. But the video is an animated video, and it has like a white knight facing like the bad guys, and it's she likes that part, so she's listened to Narco a dozen times at least in the last 36 hours. I'm all for it. My wife is already sick of it. She's a Giants fan. We're gonna listen to it a lot this year.
I love that. All right, we've got a special guest. Matthew Moreno is going to be hopping in to join us for these last couple of talks. Matt, good to see you. Happy Sunday evening to you, my friend. We have a fun announcement that we're going to be making here in just a couple of minutes. But before we do that, let's get a couple more topics. Let's talk Tyler Glasnow first. Matt, Glasnow has clarified after I assume everybody was watching me and Anthony talk about all the Tarek Skubal trade rumors the other night. And now Andrew Friedman watched. Then he called Tyler Glasnow and has assured him he is not being traded. What did you make of this, like 3 or 4 days where it felt like maybe Tyler Glasnow would be traded?
Yeah, well, first, hi, everybody in the chat. I see, a lot of the warm welcome. I appreciate that. My sincerest apologies for throwing off the balance here. Jeff and Anthony both wearing a hat, clean shaven. I'm coming in, no hat, beard that needs to be shaved. So hopefully people don't mind if I throw a little bit of a wrench into this here. But yeah, I mean, look, like the Glasnow stuff. Sorry, Jeff, what was the exact wording of your question? I apologize.
What did you make of like the 4-day stretch when it felt like
Right.
maybe Tyler Glasnow was going to get traded?
Yeah, I mean, it made sense, right? Like, and one, I watched your guys' show on Sunday. Well, listened to it on my way back home. Glasnow, I thought one thing that didn't necessarily get touched on, and at least for me, that where I was sort of leaning with all this in terms of potential Scooble trade, like, yes, if theoretically he's being packaged, in that deal to Detroit because he gives them a major league ready, ace kind of not Scooble's level, obviously, but still an ace kind of caliber pitcher. I also thought from the Dodgers perspective, as much as we discuss, like, hey, they can spend money, they will spend, like, I think at some point there's a limit. I don't know where the limit is, and it might be even further than I think it is. But getting out of that kind of, Glasnow's money, like, is sort of necessary, I think, for them if they were going to get Scooble and then hope to extend him. So that, like, it made sense from that standpoint as well. But yeah, I mean, all of that being said, I never took it, all that likely. I know, obviously, there've been mixed messaging from the Tigers front office, not just this offseason, but dating back to the trade deadline and even last year and stuff like that, when it looked like, oh, are they going to be sellers? Are they going to be buyers? But yeah, I mean, look, I know, I don't think Andrew Friedman would say this to Glasnow, and we'll continue with this conversation. I don't think, though, that it's the last time we potentially hear a Glasnow trade rumor.
Yeah, and Anthony, that's what I was going to ask is, okay, so Friedman tells this to Tyler Glasnow. Glasnow would not be the first player that got assurances from an organization that he was going to be there for a while, only to then be traded. That doesn't necessarily seem like the Dodgers and or Andrew Friedman's MO. This seemed like the type of thing like, yo, this is crazy. But does that mean then that the Tarek Skubal thing is off, or do you still think there's a pathway to a theoretical trade that doesn't involve Tyler Glasnow?
I think there's still a pathway. I think the Tyler Glasnow stuff came by reason of deduction.
Yeah.
Because the Tigers had said that they do not want to go into full rebuild. So then getting a Tyler Glasnow type made sense. He's still a frontline starter. But then again, that deduction goes, okay, the Dodgers have a bunch of frontline starters. If you were to rank them, which is the guy they would most be willing to give up? And it's Glasnow, because typically he ranks out fourth if we were to put the guys on a piece of paper. So again, his name, right? And then also, I think that part of it is the Dodgers, one, had to make room, and maybe they would be willing to, they would want to shed some of that money if they were going to extend Skubal. So again, Glasnow makes sense in that way, but doesn't mean, one, that the Tigers wanted him, or two, that the Dodgers wanted to trade him. So I think the pathway now becomes a bunch of prospects, like a massive prospect haul. And that might be with the Tigers, who, if they aren't willing to pay Skubal, you figure then they're looking for cost control, and they're gonna want to take a bushel of prospects rather than major league ready guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of Glasnow, a couple moves real quick that the Dodgers have made. Nick Frasso back with the organization, signed a minor league deal with the Dodgers. If you're not familiar, Frasso in 2023 was arguably the number one pitching prospect in the Dodgers organization. Totally blew up his shoulder, missed all of 2024, came back in 2025 and was not very good. 5.5 ERA, 7 starts, then was converted to a reliever, was on the 40-man roster. So the writing was on the wall that they needed to remove him. They did. Good to have him back in the organization. They also signed Michael Ciani, guessing on the pronunciation there, an outfielder from the Braves organization, 26-year-old left-handed hitting center fielder, has played with the Reds and the Cardinals. Tell me if you've heard this before, guys. A center fielder who is terrible offensively, but is good defensively and can run a little bit. Does have one option year remaining. This does fill the 40-man roster. So, Anthony, I'll give you first choice. Do you care about either of these moves?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
Look, I think in almost any other organization, these moves do matter. For the Dodgers, they don't, for a couple of reasons. One, the farm system is so loaded with premier kind of prospects that these things don't really move the needle for them right now. And two, their window and their win now mentality means that you probably never see these guys.
Yeah. When I read, Matt, that they signed Ciani, that then Edwin Diaz was the 40th player on their 40-man roster, my first reaction was, Well, Siani, don't get comfortable in Los Angeles because they ain't adding you to that 40th spot and then holding your place and preventing them from doing anything from here on out. Now, there's a world where they make a trade and 2 guys come off the 40-man and 1 guy comes on or something, but I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel to me, Matt, like either of these guys are going to be names that we're talking about on this show in the next couple of years.
Yeah, not really. And I know Blake wrote it in our news article on DodgerBlue.com when the Dodgers made this waiver claim that basically he's, and you hinted at it, Jeff.
Yeah.
He's sort of a new Justin Dean, right? A glove first center fielder that's going to probably get minimal opportunities, if not any, I guess, in Dean's case in the playoffs, to bat type thing. And yeah, if you want to take it even, a step further, who knows if he even makes it, Siani, just got referencing him now, if he makes it to opening day and still is on the 40-man roster, because obviously I think there's an assumption that Kike Hernandez is going to be re-signed. And I guess the caveat being if Kike is sort of delayed enough to the 60-day, like the Dodgers can maybe manipulate some things here and there. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if, unfortunately, for the newcomer that maybe it's a shorter stay, but also like he could be somebody they want to just stash, primarily in AAA and they have a Justin Dean replacement.
Well, and the only thing that's weird about this is like, why not just keep Justin Dean then? Justin Dean had 3 option years. This guy has 1 option year. He's left-handed, so I guess that's the one thing he has going for him. But it's like, why go get a new Justin Dean when you had the old Justin Dean sitting at home,
Yeah, I'd have to go back and double check the where the 40-man was at, because that was part of kind of a flurry of moves that they were making. And they were going to have to tender guys contracts, obviously, for arbitration and add some players for the Rule 5 draft and things like that. So I think, just ultimately came down to a numbers crunch would be my guess. But I do remember thinking at the time, like it was surprising at the time because, yeah, I mean, he played enough of a role that that's not usually somebody the Dodgers cut bait with so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Matt, we've got a little bit of exciting stuff coming up in the next few weeks here on this channel on our website. So why don't you tell the folks what we've got, what they can look forward to?
Yeah, so starting Monday, I'll use that Monday, late morning, afternoon. I'm not sure of the exact published time it'll be up, but on DodgerBlue.com, we're going to have our first player. We, as a staff, came together individually and then collectively to put together a Dodgers quarter century team. Anthony discussing his daughter, it got tongue twisted there. A quarter century team, ranking kind of, the Dodgers from 2025. We thought, given the time frame, it would kind of be a fun little exercise. A lot of debate I know that we had amongst our staff, and that was kind of the point of it.
Totally.
I think that we all had fun. Everybody brings, their own thoughts and stuff like that when putting this stuff together. And it was interesting because we didn't want to do it just based on like war type thing and this, that, and the other.
Some of us didn't want to do it just based on war. Let's rephrase this here.
Sure. There is some nuance that we tried to add to it. There is obviously, we weighted World Series wins, contributions, postseason success, things of that nature. Vibes in some cases. There were some omissions, and we're going to get to that. I think, we will. So that's on the written side. So sorry, let me try and stay organized here. Monday through Friday, we're going to publish one player, starting at 25 and working our way backwards. Then every Sunday on the Dodger Blue YouTube channel, Saturday, thank you, Jeff. Every Saturday, we will have a video that goes live starting this upcoming Saturday of Jeff, Sebastian, and myself discussing that week's unveiling of the 5 players. So one video per week on Saturday, starting this upcoming Saturday. And at the end of it, we will have, as I mentioned, a Dodgers quarter century team that I made this joke as we were putting it together and trying to, like, we wanted it to be, representative of the last 25 years of the Dodgers. That being said, as much as we all poured into it, we know that there's going to be people who aren't happy and say we messed up. And we want to hear some of that. Like, why maybe this player should have been higher than 23rd or higher than 22nd, something of that nature. And yeah, as Anthony is pointing, I didn't see who mentioned, I made the same Mike Piazza mistake and joke earlier today. And then I realized, oh yeah, he was before 2000.
I shared the list before I put it in our chat with my dad and my brother. And I was like, hey, anything egregious here, any red flags you see? And my dad was like, Mike Piazza. And I was like, he didn't make that cut, Dad.
Yeah. And it is. And Matt said it. And this is what makes it fun is, like, there is war, and that's a number that some people used, some people did not use. But there's a lot more to it. Like, how do you rank like a Manny Ramirez type who was here for a short time, but a freaking good time while he was here, compared to some of these players like a Chris Taylor who was here for a long time and was never really great at any point in there. So, and Snafu said, did you guys argue with Blake a lot in the list?
I just replied to Snafu.
Yeah.
I will say it wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be.
With Blake in particular?
And maybe like, I know Blake said I would have done this, but I know you guys were going to go for it. So like, he didn't do things to kind of egg us on. So we avoided it in that sense.
He did one thing to egg us on that I'll let remain nameless.
We'll discuss later. Yeah.
And the other thing too with this is I also want to mention Bruce was involved. Scott also involved. So when Bruce is on with Jeff, you know, as we're kind of unveiling, you'll get to hear from Bruce as well. You know, how he did his kind of, we're going to phase kind of the discussion. We don't want Bruce to unveil, you know, this Tuesday, his 1 through 25 list. So it'll be staggered. Same thing with Scott on his unplugged shows. We'll figure out what day he maybe, you know, reveals his batch of 5, I think, or a couple picks here at a time here and there. So it was, like I said, our entire staff. And so it was a fun collaborative project for us. I thought maybe more fun for me and not for you guys, because I know I drove you guys a little bit crazy with trying to get the rankings in the order and stuff like that. But I think overall, you know, we came together, we put together a pretty good list. I think it's relatively sound. And again, none of these lists are going to be perfect, whether it's us, LA Times, ESPN, whatever. Like, there's always going to be debate, and that's what makes this fun. And so we're hoping to fill the off season with everybody. Comment on these YouTube videos once they're up. Reply to our tweets as we're sending out the players and stuff of that nature.
Share them. Share with all the Dodger fans in your life. Share these, because I think even if they're not people who are regular watchers of our show, these are the kinds of things that are going to get their attention. Like, my dad watches our show. Shout out to you, Pops, if you're watching right now. But if he weren't, this is the kind of thing that he would latch onto for sure.
Yeah. And so again, to recap, there will be a player going up every single day, Monday through Friday. So player number 25 will be posting tomorrow. Through player 21 will be posting on Friday. And then on Saturday, there will be a video posted, pre-recorded, me, Matt, and Sebastian discussing 21 through 25. And that will repeat for the next 5 weeks. And then on top of that, the video will post on Saturday. Anthony and I will be on this show on Sunday. And then Anthony will get his opportunity to say, here are my thoughts on the 5. Here are the guys that, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy wasn't higher or lower, versus I didn't even have this guy on my list and we got him at number 14 or whatever it might be. And then the same with Bruce on Tuesday. So we'll be able to kind of rehash those conversations, and hopefully we can get you arguing with all your relatives at Christmas and at New Year's is basically the goal of this. So congratulations and good luck with that. It should be fun. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's get to some questions. All caps questions. Throw those in the chat. We're going to save ourselves on what Anthony ordered from Sonic. We're going to pace ourselves there. So hold off on that one.
Can I also join the broccolini discourse at some point tonight?
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
This is good.
I want to know if your grocery store sells it. Music to my ears says they said no trade this offseason. Didn't say anything about May. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, that was my thought as well. And this super chat is in reference to the Glasnow update that we shared. That he said Andrew Friedman told him. Yeah, he was the month May, not Dustin. Yeah. It took me. It caught me off guard.
Basically saying, "Hey, you're not going to get traded this offseason to Tyler Glasnow, but that doesn't mean he's going to be here beyond." Is right. Thank you for helping me with that.
Yeah, I did sort of think that too, but honestly, I feel like, you know, and Anthony, he brought it up. Like, the Tigers on one hand said, "Hey, we don't want to fully rebuild," but if indications are, you know, maybe they want straight prospects rather than, you know, a major league. Like, to me, like, are you talking out of both sides of your mouth at this point? Like, you're
well, I think in that situation it would be like Emmett Sheehan.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. Like. But still, like, that's a tough sell. And to go back to the Glasnow stuff, as you guys were saying, hey, would you do this, and that? Like, for me, as I was listening to it, as I said, driving home, my answer pretty much was yes to almost every single thing, honestly. Like, I would do, even if Skubal's not doing an extension, then I say, okay, it can be Glasnow, Sheehan, and one of the top outfielders. And then maybe, you know, a lower tier
for the 1 year rental.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. See, I would.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some super chats.
I think my only thing, I think my only reason for that, man, we explained it, we don't have to completely rehash it, was because they don't need him.
That's fair. I agree. I mean, yeah, I agree. But I think like obviously there's no guarantee, but if you win the World Series this or next year and then he leaves, I mean, I don't know. But you guys also know I feel differently about prospects than I think probably all three of us. And I think Anthony, you're well, no, you guys are actually pretty balanced. So I wouldn't say either.
Yeah, I'm willing to give up guys. If he were to sign the extension, I'm like, yeah, like it would be difficult for me like to part with some of it, but I'd be like, yeah, you know what? This guy's worth it. Like, let's do it. But as a rental, I'm like, you can use those pieces for other things that you actually do need, like an outfielder.
Yeah. As Matty Man
Just
points
arguing.
out.
Just wait till we get through like 11 through 20 on our list. Okay. Trust Genius says Diaz number 3 for a 3-peat. I like that.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Our friend Jason wants to know, what spot did Conforto get on my list? These are state secrets, Jason, that I'm not allowed to divulge. We had somebody else ask about Austin Barnes. Oh yeah, here we go. Jay asked, does Jeff have Austin Barnes and Andrew Jones on his 25 greatest Dodgers? I guess I can spill these beans. No, he was not. Austin Barnes was not on my list. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. I believe he appeared on at least one list.
That wasn't a real thing. That wasn't a real thing.
He didn't appear on any. Okay.
No, he didn't appear on anybody's list.
There was discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe, beauty in the eye of the beholder, how serious it was. Cantankerous says, if all the starting pitchers are healthy, does Roki start any games? Or are we doing the Phantom IL for starting pitcher again since it worked so well last year? I'm fully on board. Phantom IL the crap out of Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani. Like 20 starts max. Keep it moving. Wake me up when October 12th rolls around. That's how I would play this, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to be interesting is with the schedules that Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Sasaki are used to, like the Dodgers are going to have to figure something out. And Dave Roberts did say at the winter meetings when he was speaking with media that there might be a scenario, like as much as Ohtani is going to be a quote unquote like regular starter this next season, there might be a scenario where they give him 6 days, 7 days. He said even 8 days of rest. And so that's going to be, I'm going to be curious to see how they juggle this. I think Roki will get every opportunity to be in the rotation. I know, Anthony, we've discussed this at some point, like earlier in the offseason or maybe late in the season. It's going to be interesting because if he continues to struggle, I'll be curious to see how long they stick with that before they say, hey, we already saw what you can do in the bullpen. Like, we might just need to eject you.
Yeah. I'll say this. He is not going to become a reliever anytime soon. If he does struggle as a starter again, they'll just push him down and they'll continue to try to develop him as a starter.
That's a good point.
I think we're not going to see a full-blown Roki Sasaki is a reliever now, I would say, until like year 4 of that deal.
Wow. I agree with the sentiment. I don't think they're going to be that patient. It all depends on like how many excuses they can come up with. And I don't mean excuses as in they're fake, but it's like how many reasons do you actually have to believe this is going to get better? Because he is a prospect in the sense that he hadn't made his major league debut last season. He was brand new. He was coming over. He's also not like a 19-year-old kid either. Like, he has pitched a lot of professional baseball. He's new to the Dodgers organization. So I think it's fair to say he's not going to be a reliever in 2026. They're going to give him every opportunity to start. And if that includes going down to AAA and figuring it out, sure. But like, man, I think if 2026 looks a lot like the first half of 2025, I think 2027, we're having a real serious reliever conversation.
I don't think they are. Okay. I don't think they are. I think that to go into a year and to say he is a reliever, I don't think that happens until year 4. They're going to give him 3 years to try to develop, which to develop a major league pitcher, 3 years as a prospect, isn't that out of the question? We're saying because he's 20, when he came, he was 23 or whatever. So, he had pitched professionally overseas and in Japan. But like, in terms of like general development, like that's not that long. And so I think for the full blown or giving up on this guy as a starter, it would be after 3 seasons of him proving he just cannot cut it as a starter.
Well, let me just play devil's advocate a tiny bit, because they've gone with Robleski, Kasperius, even Emmett Sheehan types, and they've played them as relievers because that was where the opportunity was without fully giving up on starter long-term type stuff. So in your estimation, Anthony, why not go that route? Hey, this is the reps we can get him at the major league level, is in the bullpen. Go there. Maybe you're a long reliever. Maybe you're a bulk guy. And then we continue to keep the door open down the road. Because my fear is, sure, 4 years, but like, how many more Jackson Ferris and Zach Root and all these guys are going to be coming up, Robleski, Kasperius, Ryan, Stone, and passing him by over the course of 3 or 4 years if he does struggle.
Yeah, again, I'm saying year 4. I'm not saying 4 years. He would go into that 3 years of trying to develop him into a starter. In that 4th year is the first time I think they would say this experiment has failed.
Got it.
So not 4 seasons like of him doing this. I think they would give him this year and next year to try to figure it all out. That's not to say he won't ever pitch in relief this year or the following year if he's struggling. I'm saying going into spring training, them drawing the line of demarcation and saying Roki Sasaki is now a reliever full time. That I think it won't happen until after 3 years.
Okay. JY asks, does Bobby Miller have any trade value as he is? I'm going to use the word any liberally. Yes. I don't think he would be given away for nothing. I don't think it's high, but I think he has some. Someone somewhere is going to look at a guy that can still throw a 99-mile-an-hour fastball and talk themselves into it. I don't think but like, he's a lottery ticket. He's not a top prospect anymore. Don't care 187. Lima time, Wild Horse, and Manny Wood. Good times. I mean, this is their vibes. Vibes were taken into account. Let's just say that.
Yes.
So I'm not going to say all 3 of these players made the list, but these names came up in discussion. We'll say that for now. All right, some more questions here. Jake asks, where does Diaz's intro song rank among current Dodgers? Hitters included, obviously. I mean, it's number 1 by a million miles.
Let
me just real quick, Anthony, can you name a Dodgers hitter who you like the walk-up song right now off the top of your head? I can think of Ohtani's. I love it.
That's kind of the only one I can really think of is Ohtani's. But again, none of these are they're not iconic. I can think of Freddie's, but again, nothing like that is you hear that music and you think of that player. You hear this and you're gonna be like, it's Edwin Diaz time, baby.
Yeah. Well, that was my point, Matt. It's he's the only guy who has a song that I even associate with the player, aside from oh yeah, there's that Michael Bublé song again. Ohtani's coming up. Can you think of any? Are there any walk-up songs for hitters that you are into?
Not that I'm into. I mean, Rojas has one. They also cycle through a few. Kike will use Bad Bunny a lot, and so you hear it on the radio, at least down here, Jeff. I'm not sure if Bad Bunny's reaching Oregon.
Come on, please.
They just got FM up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, nothing personal that I agree with you. Nothing that's oh man, that's a great song. That's so and so. Freddie is probably the closest, just because he's had it for a while, and obviously the story out there of Charlie picking and stuff like that became a well-known thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say I think Freddie and Ohtani are the only guys who hadn't changed it. One thing I do hope for is to to kind of mesh everything together with Diaz, is that opening series, maybe you bring out Timmy Trumpet and you let him do his thing, and that's going to be a whole spectacle, that first homestand. Beyond that, I do hope they have 1 or 2 in-house mariachi trumpet players that can play that on a everyday home game kind of basis whenever Diaz is called upon, to give it a little more LA feel, and to also always have something live with it every time. We got him for 3 years. Let's make the most out of it.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, Muncie, I think, came out to Tipsy by Shabuzi, and I like that song.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Shout out to Matt.
There are songs that I like that these guys have, but there's nothing that I associate with. I hear it and I'm like, that guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's see. Jason asked, do you see Blake Treinen being on the opening day roster if Evan Phillips or another reliever is added? Keep in mind, Evan Phillips would not be available on opening day, likely not till the second half of the season. But Matt, is there any chance that Treinen, assuming he's healthy, is not on the opening day roster?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Edwin Diaz is their big bullpen addition. I'm not going to say the Dodgers aren't going to go and potentially add another guy, another relief pitcher, but it would be more of, I know Anthony predicted no more blockbusters. I think definitely in the bullpen, it would be more of hey, we're taking a shot in a hidden gem type thing, who I don't believe would unseat Treinen's spot.
Yeah. N Snafu says, are you guys going to do World Baseball Classic coverage? Yes. I mean, we will not be doing live post-game shows necessarily. I mean, although who knows? I was famously not super into the World Baseball Classic last time and was somewhat shamed for it, which is fair. But we will be discussing it as it relates to the Dodgers at the very least. Matt, is that a fair? I mean, I don't know if on the website side of things, if there's going to be more going on as far as Team Japan coverage, Team USA coverage with Will Smith playing, etc.
Yeah, my guess is we might have more on DodgerBlue.com than maybe like at least on a daily basis rather than on our YouTube channel. But look, if there's interest there, if you guys want more of it, then we'll do what we can to cover this stuff as it's happening. We will obviously cover it. I think a post-game show, if Team Japan plays the United States again in the gold medal game, like we will do a post-game show at that point because Ohtani is obviously playing for the Dodgers and not the Angels the way it was in 2023. But yeah, we'll definitely planning something, and we will be flexible, and we'll listen to you guys and take your feedback into consideration. If you want more, if you want maybe a little bit less, then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, this time it's going to be Dodger teammates Ohtani versus Will Smith with the game on the line.
Can you handle? Will you be able to handle that, Jeff?
Yeah, unlike some of these people, I'm going to be rooting for Team USA. I'm going to be rooting for America, and I'm going to be rooting for Will Smith. That's what's going to be happening in that moment. You know, Matt, who do you root for in the World Baseball Classic?
Well, the United States, but like I'm more invested in like the Team USA basketball team than I am like when Team USA lost to the Japanese team in 2023, it was like, oh man, well that kind of sucks, but hey, that was exciting. That was kind of cool to see Ohtani and Trout, go at it type thing. But I wasn't like, oh, this is awful.
Anthony told us he famously hates all American sports. He roots against America in every international competition, hates the Ryder Cup team, hates the Olympic team, so it's crazy stuff last night.
Got to be careful, man. Narratives build quickly around here.
I'm telling you.
Straight out of Matt's mouth. Back to back. Anthony, scale of 1 to 10. How likely is Teoscar to get traded?
2.
Matt?
Yeah, like a 2 or 3. I just don't see it. And Anthony and I think on the show that I did when we were filling in for the marathon for Jeff, if you make this trade, you need to fill him with like an everyday productive outfielder. And I just don't know if they're doing that.
Yeah, I think I'd go 3, but we're all in the unlikely camp for sure. UCSB Cub says, I'm the worst at reading.
Well, YouTube messed us up with changing how these names display now.
Yeah. Do you think we need another innings eater pitcher for the first half of the season, like Dustin May or James Paxton? We have a lot of guys, but they are all fragile. Anthony, I'll come to you. Do the Dodgers need to go get a guy who can just go make his turn every time the first 2/3 of the season and just go give you 5 to 6 innings, even if he's not very good?
I think they already have those guys on the 40-man. It's a combination of guys. So I don't think it's going to be one guy. I think it's going to be a mixture of 3 guys probably at some point that are going to be able to eat those innings. I don't think it's just one dude, but they have such a glut of starting pitching that they're going to use some of those young guys to spot start or to say, hey, you're up for 2 turns or something like that. So the answer, I guess, is yes, but it's not going to be filled by just one guy.
Yeah, you don't need Paxton or May because you can just go Sheehan, Landon Knack. I mean, like Landon Knack is the guy who's just sitting right there who could be this person for you without having to pay for anybody. So I think they have 6 or 7 dudes they could just throw in there and make it happen. Cantankerous says, how many Dodgers are playing in the World Baseball Classic and which countries will they represent? Matt, obviously Ohtani Yamamoto expected for Japan. There have been reports that Roki Sasaki will not be playing. And then Will Smith for Team USA. That's kind of it so far, right?
Yeah, at least confirmed type thing. Yeah, like there was a report that Team USA is considering Vesia as a relief pitcher, but nothing since then. I'm not sure about Edwin Diaz. I saw somebody say that he is playing for. I get he's Puerto Rican, but I don't know. I don't remember if that was it may have been announced and it just wasn't on our radar.
Reddit tells me, Matt, which Reddit has never led me astray, that Edwin Diaz has expressed his desire to pitch and is currently negotiating with the Dodgers about that. He famously broke his leg in the World Baseball Classic celebrating. Yeah.
And then missed that whole season because of it. Yeah.
ACL, maybe something like that.
Teoscar is not participating that much. We know.
Yeah, he withdrew.
And I am firmly on team. Good for the Dodgers. Every time one of these guys gets announced, they aren't playing, except for Roki. That's what Anthony and I joked about. He's the one guy that I'm like, go get your reps, son. Go get them. Okay. Let's see. Kenneth says, wasn't Roki kind of pissed they asked him to go to the bullpen? I don't remember hearing this, Matt.
Yeah, not that I remember hearing. I mean, I know Andrew Friedman and Sasaki both, kept expressing that he was open to any sort of role.
Yeah.
I think what Kenneth might be referring to here is that the story sort of unfolded that he was not as open to change with his mechanics and delivery and all that thing. And then he became open to it, and then things started to fall into place. And then, even though that he was having some success with that, they said, look, if you're going to come back to the big leagues, it's going to be as a reliever. And then his response was, however I can get back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the sentiment there is that he was not as open to the change earlier on, and then became open to it.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, and that, I think Andrew Friedman or maybe even Dave Roberts have basically confirmed that they needed to kind of establish some trust there and type thing. So yeah, good point, Anthony. Thanks for refreshing our memory there.
Anthony, Darren asks, was the World Baseball Classic last at bat between Trout and Ohtani? Was that the biggest at bat of Mike Trout's career?
Unfortunately, it kind of was.
It's crazy. It's so sad.
Yeah.
He's so freaking good.
He did it to himself.
He did a little bit. He
signed those extensions. You signed that extension. Like, I mean,
yeah, I'm kind of with you, Matt. Like, you make that bed, and it's unfortunate because baseball is just such a team sport that a guy like Trout, I mean, was a generational player. Could have been the MVP 5 or 6 years in a row, and yet just languishing in Anaheim. Tough stuff.
Close to Disneyland, at least.
That's true. Well, Big Time asks, do you guys send someone to cover road games during the regular season? We kind of do on special occasions. Blake was in Japan. Obviously, we were at the World Series. Matt famously got on a red eye straight from the stadium home after Game 7. So we go there. We do some spring training stuff typically. We
do San Diego. We do San Diego. We do Arizona. I've done Colorado for opening day. So we do travel. This is asking specifically during the regular season. We do travel a little bit during the regular season. We'll typically kind of save it though for playoffs to make sure we have enough in the budget to cover those.
Yongi asks, Anthony, who could be the multi-inning bullpen guy for the Dodgers in 2026? Robleski and Ben, the two guys who did it last year, are options. Do you think they're the two favorites again?
Yeah, I would say as of right now, those are the two guys.
The only question would be if I think Kasperius, it seems like there has been less movement back towards being a starting pitcher. It feels like there might be this kind of might be his role.
The role.
Robleski, It feels like it's still open-ended enough to where he could get stretched out in spring training. So both of these guys would be names to just see, what do they do? What do they do with River Ryan? What do they do with Gavin Stone? How much do they attempt to stretch these guys out versus how much do they try and just get them at the major league level?
Yeah, I think for both of these guys, I think they'll probably paint it as like, we want to keep both guys stretched out because they still can be starters in our eyes. Yeah. I think for Kasperius, it's what you said, Jeff. I would imagine they're starting to see him more as a reliever. But for Robleski, I think that actually is true in terms of like, this is a guy who can still start for us. So we're going to keep him stretched out. And in the meantime, he's a guy who can go get us 6, 7, 8 outs.
Yeah. That was like the 4th, 6th, 7 we've had on the show. I'm proud of all of us for not reacting to those. Tim says, question, Matt, would a platoon of Alex Call and Ryan Ward be a crazy idea?
Yes. Like, I want to be nice, but yes.
Anthony?
Insane.
Yeah. For the Dodgers, there's lots of teams around the league that would probably love to have Ryan Ward and Alex Call as their opening day options for the platoon. But yeah, insane. I just keep telling people, as bad as Conforto was, like I'm not saying anyone will ever be worse because it's hard to do. I'm just saying it's not guaranteed. We've seen worse. So
Jeff, you're never dodging the allegations. They're sticking forever.
It's fine. Like I said, I won't reveal who made my top 25. Evelyn asks, Anthony and Matt, are you two related?
No, we're just incredibly both handsome.
Yeah, there you go. Just, it's a great question. Ross, I'm sorry. I used to know how to say these names. Anthony, do you go to any meetups? Do you do Dodger Stadium meetups or anything like that?
You know what? That is something I wanted to start doing this coming season. So whenever I'm at a game, like as a fan, I think I'll announce it here and put it up on social and say like, hey, I'll be at the game. Anybody wants to do a shot or something with me? Meet me at the bar. But no, it is always cool too when I go to games in LA and people will say like, oh, hey, I watched Dodger Blue, and like Jeff's name has been brought up, Matt's name, Scotty G gets a lot of love too. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it'll be something that I want to do more of this coming season.
Yeah, people want to know shots of what? What kind of shots are you going to be drinking?
Tequila.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say that's an easy one. Dave wants to know, do we seriously believe Alex Call is on this roster and not Kike? Alex Call is a walking Manny Margot. Some people around here, by the way, love Manny Margot, so you got to be careful. Both these guys can be on the roster is the short answer. You don't have to choose between Manny Margot, Alex Call, and Kike. You can have both, right, Matt?
Yeah, this isn't.
Is Manny Margot available? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, this isn't like when Manny Margot was actually on the team, and it was like, hey, like this guy is gone, like he's going to be gone. Like just give it a matter of time for Kike. They have room for both, it seems.
Yeah. Jake says, ignore the money. Pick one. Cody Bellinger for 4 years or Tucker for 3. It's Kyle Tucker by 1,000 miles. I would take
Cody Bellinger. I don't think is a very good offensive player anymore.
Anthony, if I said you could sign Cody Bellinger for 3 or Kyle Tucker for 10, who would you take?
Say that again.
Years? Cody Bellinger for 3 or Kyle Tucker for 10 years. Like you have to sign him to the 10-year deal.
That's good.
Or you sign Cody Bellinger, but you only have to sign him for 3. Matt, you're taking Cody easy.
Cody, I'm taking Cody.
Yeah, easy. Like that's. Yeah. I'm probably even. Well,
you would take Cody. You're thinking about this question.
No. Well, because it says ignore the money, but like that's not like. There's no scenario where the money is remotely close.
I don't even think you need to ignore the money. It's still Kyle Tucker easy. You're thinking about Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker, who you want more? Same years?
I mean, I guess not.
I'm taking Bellinger in the 3 versus 10 question.
Yeah.
And I'd take Kyle Tucker for 10. Just got to Parade's not prospect.
You know what really worries me about him is the Anthony Rendon red flag.
Yeah, I hear you. Somebody put it this way, and I was like, that kind of makes sense, is if he comes to LA, he's going to be like the 7th most important person on the roster. So he can kind of go fade into the background and do whatever he wants.
I think that was might have been The Athletic, Katie Wu. I don't know if she was the only one but I remember reading that saying he'd be like 6th or 7th or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I think it was when she was getting interviewed by Kirsten Watson at the winter meetings. Now that I think about it, she might have said that.
Yeah, but Rendon was like the 3rd guy on that team when he signed and still become a disaster.
Yeah. Josh, they dodged a bullet on that one. Let's see. Sign stealing scandal says me and Anthony are going to take down the 3-foot hot dog and pound of fries. There you go.
Like lady in the Tramp style, like each end.
Perfect. I love that. Andy asks, are we getting Gratterall back next season? I mean, we can all hope we're getting Gratterall back next season. We keep being told we're getting it back. Let's hope. Back-to-back wants to know who had a better time, Blake in New York in 24 or Matt in Canada in No. It's got to be Blake, right? I need just the flight. Didn't you get like food poisoning and got on a flight?
No. I had the Toronto. I got a Toronto cold a couple days after. Once I was home.
Okay. Well, you were delayed getting there. You were delayed getting there.
Yeah.
That was right. That was Steven Nelson who got food poisoning.
I think this is a push.
All right. I mean, I just am thinking the flight home situation seemed like a nightmare.
Blake, I think, might have had a layover as well. So our flights may have been his, I think, didn't leave as early as mine did, but it was similar. Like, hey, World Series ends next morning. Like he's flying back.
You also seem way more like I'm in Toronto, like kind of enjoying yourself in Toronto. Blake is more of he's all business when he goes on these trips.
he was eating out of I think maybe I'm thinking Japan. He was eating at like mini marts.
Yeah. Which
Blake did
notoriously great for what it's worth.
For New York, Blake did. I remember him telling us he ordered pizza from like whatever places in Spider-Man or something, and he said it was kind of whatever. My version of that was I went to Tim Hortons and it was kind of whatever. I wanted to try to like experience at least some. I mean, obviously we discussed foods, people like experience some of the food scene in Toronto, but honestly, just with my schedule, it didn't work out the way I had hoped. But I think this is probably a push.
Yeah, there you go. Fair. Okay, let's see. There you go. Jason says ran into Matt a couple years ago going up an escalator at Dodger Stadium. So there you go. Let's see. Okay, let's get to some food questions here, and then we'll talk broccolini and Sonic at the end. We got 3. Jedi Engineer. We're planning a holiday party for the Dodger Blue Crew. Who caters? Like, is the question here who on our staff is cooking for this get together, or where are we getting food from, Matt? How do you interpret this? Because I would trust Anthony to cook for us for sure over
That's
everybody
where I
else.
was. Yeah, if it was cooking, I was going to say Anthony's probably handling the meats or the carne asada, whatever we've decided on.
Although I make a mean breakfast burrito. I cooked breakfast burritos for 16 on Saturday morning, and it was fantastic. Rave reviews. So
17 people?
Oh yeah, baby.
Nice.
36. We had 36 eggs, a couple
right.
packets of chorizo.
It's impressive.
Lots of bacon, lots of cheese, frozen hash browns, baby, in the oven.
There you go.
Cooking with gas.
If it's cooking, I'll defer to Anthony. I think Scott is a pretty decent cook. He seems like he's pretty active too.
He's too healthy, I think.
Well, he's the guy who says food is for fuel only.
Yeah, exactly. He's a food is fuel guy.
But he'll do like a chicken or a steak. I think I could trust him to do a chicken or a steak, and then we could figure out the rest with everybody else. If it's catering and ordering out, I mean, people like this name isn't going to Ian. Like we say, hey, like Ian, we're putting this team dinner together, right? And he would take care of us. Ian treats us well when we are able to get together for dinners. Whether it's
I would trust Ian on that assignment for sure.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, you tried whatever drink thing he did at the end, dessert with coffee and some liqueur. I think I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
I can see Jeff making a salad to comment here. I mean, look, my wife would love if I ate more salads. Let's just put it that way. Okay. If it's covered in enough Caesar dressing or ranch dressing, then you got enough cheese, bacon on top of it. Sign me up. Scotty would make us all pumpkin lattes.
Yeah, Scotty's always starting Unplugged talking about his pumpkin spice creamer that he's got.
Speaking of, here's Ian for everybody. If you're watching with us, this is he oversees all of our websites and he's everybody's boss, and he treats us well and takes us to dinner and stuff like that.
I think the one thing we can all agree on is who would not be cooking for us at said holiday party, right? Like I think there's a clear last place in this conversation.
Well, unless it's coming from his dad, because his dad is a chef. So
right.
if we know that it's being funneled.
Oh my God. I did not know that. This makes everything that much better.
Amazing. Yeah, there's stories. Keep them. Okay, Jason, who by the way would be catering for us. Jason, longtime listener, I believe owns a restaurant in Canada.
I think so.
Inspired by my dinner tonight, if you had to have ice cream for dinner, what flavor would you select? Ice cream straight up, or are you a toppings guy? Okay, there's the question. Matt, if ice cream was for dinner,
I'm going Jamaica almond fudge. I've talked about it, how much I like it from Baskin Robbins. Yeah, I'm eating that one plain. I will say, if I do switch it, there was an instance maybe a couple months ago. I was craving vanilla ice cream with the Hershey's like chocolate syrup on it.
Okay.
And so that I did that. My wife put some more stuff on her. She added more toppings. I just went vanilla and syrup. So that would be the extent of my topping there.
Okay, Anthony.
Nice. Yeah, I'm doing something like a Cold Stone type of situation.
Cold Stone.
For sure. Or if I'm like just doing it, at home or something, like I'm going like the Sunday route, whipped cream, nuts, syrup, like all that stuff. If I'm doing ice cream for dinner, yeah, we're loading it up.
Vanilla? Like we just going vanilla, chocolate? What are we doing?
We could do some vanilla, you could do some chocolate, cookies and cream. Like, yeah, when it comes to a Sunday, I'm not like, I'll put kind of just about any kind of ice cream on it. If it's just ice cream by itself, then I get a little bit more picky about what I'm doing.
I'm with you. My preferred is just vanilla ice cream, and then I'm throwing toppings on top because we don't need to mix flavors here. If I'm just going plain ice cream, then give me a mix in. But vanilla, you mentioned Cold Stone. Freaking love Cold Stone. Yeah. Sweet cream with brownie, just elite. And I haven't tried it yet. Costco, at least up here, they've got vanilla soft serve with brownie and caramel at Costco, and I haven't tried it yet.
Okay.
Man, that's like the dream scenario.
I have to go to Costco this week, so I'll check. That sounds interesting. I'll do for research purposes, Jeff. I will take one for the team, see if they have it, maybe order it if it's there, and report back to you guys.
Yeah, and if they have any Greek yogurt with chia seeds and honey, let me know. I did at one point in the last 12 months try chia seed pudding. Have either of you done this before?
I've tried it. My wife got into it. It was off. I mean, you guys know my it was not
It's
happening.
it's like, I mean, it's like having yogurt in the morning. It's basically what it is. It's like coconut milk. You soak these seeds overnight, they grow. You mix a bunch of like granola and fruit and stuff in, and
They
if
look
you
like
put enough
fish eyes.
unhealthy stuff in it, it tastes good. Like it's like everything else in the world. It's like in theory it's healthy, and then you dump sugar and like good stuff on top of it and carbs, and then it's not as healthy anymore, but it tastes good. So take your pick. That's
There
my
you go.
theory. Okay. Trust Genius says Anthony Rendon is getting a front office job with the Angels. He will be in charge of roll call. There you go. Rendon will be getting a front office job with nobody. That's for sure. Okay, cool. I've thought about this one, so I'm prepared. If you could participate in an eating competition, what would you choose? What would be your food?
This is a good question.
My answer is pizza, and here's why this is my
Okay.
answer. I don't know why, and I'm sure this isn't actually make any sense, but I just feel like of all the foods, when I compare how much I am capable of eating to the people around me, I could just crush pizza like endlessly, I think. People, it's like they stop after 2 slices. I'm like, what is wrong with you? 2 slices. So I think that would be my best. I'm not saying I would enjoy eating like 40 slices of pizza. I don't think I'd enjoy any eating competition. But if my life depended on succeeding, I think pizza might be my best chance. Anthony?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Matt, you go, because pizza might have been my answer, so I want to do something different. Let me
Well,
think.
is this not like, I don't want to say official like eating, but like, so not necessarily like just the hot dog one. Like, is there a pizza one or a buffalo?
Oh yeah, they
one?
have
Like
a
this,
million of these.
They have them for everything.
So are we just getting to pick like kind of any food?
But your goal is to win. Like I'm
Right. No,
interpreting
yeah.
in this, like what type of food would you enter the competition and have the greatest likelihood? Maybe it's 0.0001% instead of 0.000001%. What food would you have the greatest likelihood of winning, do you think?
But does there need to be like an established competition already
No.
existing for?
I would
so
just
this is
assume
any-
whatever food you're thinking of, there's probably an eating competition somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree.
Oh man, pizza is a good one.
Buffalo wings, maybe for you, Matt?
No, I'm out on buffalo wings. If
I
it's
got mine.
boneless, maybe. Go ahead, Anthony. Let me
mine,
try and think.
I would do street taco, like taco truck
Freaking
tacos.
that.
There you go.
Oh,
I
man.
feel like I'd have a legit chance there.
You want chicken nuggets? You could do chicken nuggets, Matt. You said boneless wings here a minute ago.
Sure, I'd take my chance with some chicken nuggets. Maybe
How many
spicy.
McDonald's nuggets do you
Maybe
think you could
spicy because then like maybe my competition would have to tap out, whereas I could keep pushing along.
You'd eliminate some of the
Yeah.
weaklings.
Yeah.
I like that. Back to back 1024 says, what are your top 3 dessert foods? This is great. Apple pie is number 1 for me.
I would
Not
go
apple pie with ice cream. I'll just give you my top 3 because off the dome, I think I can give it to you. Number 2 is a brownie and ice cream. Absolutely elite.
solid.
And number 3, nobody gives enough respect to this, in my opinion, but it's a good old 2 fresh made cookies, ice cream sandwich. But a scoop of vanilla in between 2 warm chocolate cookies. And every time I was last night, there's a tub of ice cream, big cookies. I'm talking like big cookies. Chop that bad boy in half, threw ice cream in the middle. Had like 8 people. We're like, man, that's a great idea. I'm like, damn right, it's a great idea. Ice cream sandwiches are good. So there you go. Apple pie, brownie, and ice cream sandwich, Anthony.
Yeah, I would say in no particular order. Cheesecake for me, cheesecake.
That's a great one.
Ice cream.
Just
Ice cream.
Okay.
And then probably I'm in the minority here. I understand this, but I like pumpkin pie.
Oh.
Loaded up with whipped cream. I like pumpkin pie. I always have since I was a kid.
There you go. Matt?
I'll do so my family has had a carrot cake recipe that's been like passed down. So that specific carrot cake.
You're doing cream cheese frosting on that bad boy or what?
It is, but it's a little bit, it's not quite, it's a little bit sweeter than maybe like straight, like your traditional cream cheese frosting.
Like that.
Milk almond fudge ice cream. And then I don't know, I think we've discussed them in the past. I know they're not popular. So, or I like Oreos. So Oreos would be
just straight Oreos are in the top 3. I love that.
Yeah.
Good for you. We have a report, by the way. Bad X Beat says the Costco caramel brownie sundae is so good. There we go.
Okay.
And Don Kim, shout out to Diddy Reese.
That's a throwback. That's a throwback for Jeff when he was spending $20 on little ice cream,
no,
one single scoop of ice cream. Anthony, Jeff was
people were mad at me. People were mad at me because I told them that it cost $1.50, and they were like, "No, it's like $7 now." Have you ever been to Diddy Reese, Anthony? Do you know anything about it?
No, I don't.
It's great. It's great. It used
It's
to
a
be
fancy
$1.50.
place. You know Jeff Anthony. He has his fancy foods that he sticks to.
Literally
This is just another one of those.
a block off of UCLA's campus. They used to sell ice cream sandwiches, fresh made cookies, scoop of ice cream for $1.50. There'd be 100 people in line 24 hours a day. And by the time I got on this show and started talking about it, apparently the prices had gone up and people got mad at me for being bougie and eating like $7 ice cream sandwiches. Here we go. Let's see what our Diddy Reese.
I will say, as you're doing that, when you brought up ice cream sandwiches, it got me to thinking of the traditional ones with the softer, like not an actual cookie, like not bun, but I don't know what you would call it. But the regular one, like the regular ice, like the Neapolitan ice cream sandwiches that they sell like in the box and stuff like that. Those are good too.
This says $5 for an ice cream sandwich, 2 freshly baked cookies and a scoop of ice cream in the middle. So cookies are 75 cents in case you're wondering. And we got flavors: candy, chocolate chip, walnut, double chocolate, white chocolate, oatmeal raisin walnut, peanut butter, sugar, cinnamon, white chocolate, macadamia, white chocolate.
Jeff.
White chocolate and then white chocolate macadamia. We got 12 flavors of ice cream. Any 2 cookies, any scoop of ice cream. Just telling you.
Jeff, you're getting cooked in the chat right now.
Okay,
There's that one.
We got
there's
this
one.
I did not go to school at UCLA. Probably could have got in, small flex, but didn't. Talk to me about broccolini, Matt. Anthony famously said last show that his favorite vegetable is broccolini, which I've heard of and I like. I just literally can't purchase it at my own grocery store. So your thoughts?
I thought you hadn't heard of it. I thought that was
no. I've heard of it. I knew what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just a common man eating regular broccoli over here.
And $7 ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah, that's why he does the broccoli so that he can splurge on the Diddy Reese. That's where the balance comes from. Well, as the resident super taster on our website, I can tell you that broccolini.
That person's here. The resident super taster's here. Where are they?
Broccolini tastes completely different compared to broccoli, and it is a much more pleasurable vegetable. Like I can eat broccolini a lot easier than broccoli, and so more than it, like there's actually, my wife makes a pasta with what's the cheese that, not ricotta, the other kind of white one that they serve a lot is Romano? I think you had it, Jeff.
Oh,
at a steakhouse recently. They serve it at steakhouses. I don't know why I'm blanking right now.
Like blue cheese?
No, not blue cheese. It's
not ricotta.
No, it's not ricotta, but it comes in like a ball, and you can cut it.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Oh, it has stuff inside of it.
Yeah. Why are we all? We're gonna feel so dumb when we get off and then see the.
I had it in my fridge. I had it in my fridge a week ago. Someone's gonna.
So there's that cheese with some broccolini, and it's pretty good. Burrata. There we go.
Burrata. There you go. Yeah. It's great.
So yeah, I'm on board with broccolini. I'm team broccolini.
What's your favorite vegetable, Matt?
Oh man, I like all vegetables equally.
I saw somebody commented on our video, by the way, and it was like the best explanation I've ever heard, where it's like a tomato is botanically a fruit, but it is in a culinary sense a vegetable. Mushrooms are botanically fungi, but in a culinary perspective, they are vegetables. And I was like, that's it. That's a perfect summary of how we differentiate between these things. So in a culinary sense, favorite vegetables. There you go.
And I'm not eating either one of those.
There you go. Yeah. You're out on tomatoes and mushrooms.
100%.
Oh, love both those. Ordered both of them on a pizza recently. Fantastic.
Do you do red sauce?
Yeah. He's a big ketchup guy. Just not.
I mean, I don't love, like, I'll eat ketchup.
Red sauce is ketchup.
I don't love ketchup. I eat, if you're asking about
fettuccine
pizza,
Alfredo. Maybe we're on to something here, Anthony.
That's why I asked, because he likes the fettuccine Alfredo.
JY says, thank you, Anthony, for being positive on Roki. Is there a redemption potential for Urias like Aroldis Chapman, who also had similar scandals? The answer to that is no. He will never pitch in Major League Baseball ever again. And I say that not like Aroldis. I'm shocked Aroldis Chapman is still in Major League Baseball. I guess I'll put there. Like, he's obviously capable of pitching well. If you go back and read the stories of what happened, it's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. What happened?
I think that I mentioned this in our chat today when we were discussing the top 25 guys. I think that Urias was suspended twice. Then he's the only guy that's ever happened to under the domestic violence policy. So that's a whole different thing. But I think really the video coming out ended his professional baseball career in Major League Baseball. Like he's done. I think there might have been a window for that question that like possibly yes, had that video not come out. Once that video came out, he was absolutely toasted,
And I think
and rightfully so.
And I think with Chapman too, the reality is his happened in a different climate. And like if that happens now,
That's
I'm
fair
not sure.
too.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if he still keeps pitching. So it happened when it did, and it was still obviously wrong. I'm not saying that back then it was okay, but I think the responses, the viewpoints, like it's shifted. I think things have gotten more aware of that type of stuff. And so it happened when it did. He kept, as you mentioned it, Jeff, he continued to pitch like he pitched well enough that it's sort of like, oh, we've forgotten that Aroldis Chapman did that.
I was going to say, and the underlying thing that nobody likes to talk about is Urias just wasn't very good in his last season. He was a 4.6 ERA guy. So the saddest part of this is if Julio had gone back and was still the 2.9, 2.1 ERA guy in his last season, I actually think we might be having a different conversation.
Yeah,
sadly,
but
teams are willing to
been
overlook
bad
a lot.
since then too.
What's that?
Like, Chapman has had like not great seasons since all of that also, and he still has a job.
He was good enough for people to forget about it for a few years to where when he was still struggling later on in his career, the 2022 season, for example, I think he had kind of weathered the storm enough, I guess.
I mean, until this season, he hasn't had an ERA that started with less than 3 since 2019.
Yeah, but I mean, 3 is pretty good.
I mean, for an elite reliever and a guy who you're going to use that collateral on with his baggage, that doesn't feel good enough, right? Like I think Matt's right. It happened in a different climate.
Yeah. Question for me is, what's the favorite pizza place in Oregon? There's a place called Ranch Pizza, which is fantastic. I'm into Detroit style pizza right now, so they do a great Detroit style. So there you go. Jacob with the super chat, boys. Been laid up for over 12 hours just to end up in end up in Dayton, Ohio. Thank you for a little happiness. Happy holidays. Laid over. Sorry. Golly. It's one of these days I'll be able to learn how to read.
You'd think a UCLA guy like you would know how to read.
It's true. Better. Yeah. Hey, I could have got in. Swear. Happy holidays to you, Jacob. Thank you for the super chat. Yes. Congrats on ending up in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, hope you get home soon, wherever home is.
Yeah. Wow. No love for Dayton, Ohio, Matt. You want him out of Dayton, Ohio as quickly as possible? I mean,
everybody in Dayton, Ohio wants out of Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, jeez.
Anthony said it.
Matt, what food should Dodger Stadium introduce this season?
Yeah, I feel like we get asked this pretty semi-regularly throughout the year, definitely during the off-season shows.
Caesar salad.
Well, they did add the Habit is coming to Dodger Stadium, so I think that's okay. So do you like Shake Shack better than they haven't said it's replacing Shake Shack?
Oh, I'm in on Shake Shack now. Shake Shack's big up and to the right.
Oh, see, Anthony, like I said, see, this guy's just telling on himself.
You like the Habit better than Shake Shack?
Yes, with the admission that I'm not huge on smash burgers, and so that I'm just not big.
So here's my Shake Shack story. It's expensive, but they are like perpetually running promotions to where it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, they introduced a new burger called like the Big Shack, which is their version of a Big Mac. And it was, if you spend $10, which is not hard to do at Shake Shack, if you spend $10, you get a free Big Shack, which is probably like a $12 burger normally. So I went twice because the first time I went, and it was fantastic. It's like, get my wife a burger, get fries to split, walk out with my own burger for free. We spent $12 and we walk out of there with 2 burgers and fries. It was really freaking good. It was massive. It was like one meal a day. You eat this Big Shack burger. It was fantastic. So I'm back in on Shake Shack because they're constantly running promotions that make it more affordable. I see the question from Dong, Shake Shack or Five Guys. I really like both of these. It's probably a push, honestly. Like my Shake Shack experience lately has been very positive. So Jeff, it's different because when I go to Five Guys, I get a very unique burger. Like I get the, you're going to hate this, but I get the grilled mushrooms on my burger when I go to Five Guys. I'm not getting that on a burger anywhere else. So, it's probably a push. Both of these are very high. In-N-Out is one. And both of these places, I would say, are well ahead of all of the other quote unquote fast burger places. That's my answer. Anthony?
I think when you consider price in this, In-N-Out is by far the better of these three.
What about Shake Shack versus Five Guys?
Probably Shake Shack, but again, I'm not rushing to go to either place.
Yeah.
I'm not
You'll
driving
be
out of my way to
surprised-
go to either
You'll be
place.
surprised to hear, Anthony, that Blake is a Five Guys over In-N-Out person.
Stunning. Stunning.
Is he? I don't remember.
I'm
I don't
pretty sure he
remember
is.
Maybe. I mean, it sounds right. I don't remember that. I mean,
Matt,
they're
you're
different.
clearly a Five Guys guy.
Yeah, I like it a lot better than shit. But I mean, like the price is like, although I feel like they started recently, like adding some like they created a value meal, if you
did
will,
they really?
type thing. Yeah,
I
and
haven't
it's a
been to
little.
Five
I
Guys.
think it's a little bit. I haven't been in a while either, but
I would go Capriati's for Dodger Stadium.
Okay.
that's a good choice.
I don't even know what that is.
Sandwich,
Okay. That sounds
right?
Yeah.
We're thinking of the same one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Anthony, Five Guys or Sonic?
Sonic.
Wow.
Again,
I can't stand
on,
Sonic.
on these. I can't justify the price that Five
I
Guys
agree.
charges. Like their hamburgers isn't like. Again, if I'm gonna pay that price, I need to be able to say like, you know what, I'm going to drive 9 miles to go get this hamburger, and I just never will for Five Guys.
So talk me through Sonic. I can't stand that. I have a terrible customer service experience every time I go to Sonic, I think. I've joked they charged me for water there. They charged me for a lemon slice. I just like I can't stand Sonic. My daughter loves it, and we just like have simply stopped going because I just get angry when I go. So
I'll
the
say
drinks,
this: order
you can
on the
talk me
app.
to the drinks.
Much easier to just order on the app. You don't really have to deal with anybody. 2, it's not a destination for me except for drinks. Like the drinks are, for
Are
the
you like
size
a
and price,
nerds
especially
and
on
soda
the
guy?
app, drinks are half price all the time.
Okay.
So I know you get upset about $4 lemonades. This one will only cost you $2.
That's great. And I can save money for my $5 cookie sandwiches later.
Exactly. See, I'm thinking of you. But the whole Sonic endeavor in this house is because the baby girl wants the plain hamburger, and Sonic.
I thought you were going to say grilled cheese because that's what my daughter loves, the grilled cheese in Sonic.
She like probably every third time we go, it's a grilled cheese that she'll ask for, but it's just it's a quick in and out type of, roll through, quick, grab the plain hamburger and head out. And then, while I'm there, I'm going to grab a big, large drink.
With some nerds at the bottom of it. Were you one of those guys? The slushies with nerds in them?
When I do the slushies, like I might drop some of that in there. Yeah.
Have you seen the commercials where they advertise Coke that you can put jalapenos in? Can somebody help me with this? Like that's in a commercial. Who's that for?
Yeah, I have seen that. For a sec when I first saw it, I thought that it was Dr. Pepper because I saw. Remember that was it jalapenos or pickles or like something weird was going in Dr. Pepper maybe a year ago, and so I thought that's what this was, and then I saw the commercial again, and they said it's Coke, and I thought, oh, like that's odd.
Burger King, by the way, not a Burger King fan for the record. They're doing SpongeBob promotion. Commercial was on during the Sunday Night Football. They've got bacon cheese tots right now. Like I think they're inside the tot. It's like bacon cheddar, SpongeBob something. So I'm intrigued. I'll just leave it at that. Not going to be going, but I'm intrigued. Roseman says, I went to Arizona for spring training. Culver's is freaking delicious. I mean, it's fine.
Are you out on Culver's? It's good. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's like it's not sniffing Shake Shack or Five Guys or like it's to me, it's like the equivalent of going to Carl's. And I like Carl's. It's in the Wendy's camp.
I would put Culver's a little bit better than just Carl's Jr.'s fast food. I think for Culver's, it's more like the dessert stuff that is what sets it apart.
It's fair. Okay, last question. And I'm sorry, I forget. Help me out with the name here because I know when I'm saying this out loud, this wasn't your name when you could just. Do you remember?
The person said, I don't know. I think do we know if it's male or female? So,
no.
Okay.
Rose.
So the person said just say Ross.
Ross, thank you.
And I think it might be there was a Ross who like Ross something who was
guy.
It's a guy. Okay, never mind. Then I'm thinking it's thank you, Ross.
That's a great comment.
Disregard.
Yeah.
There we go. This is a new Ross, but he
Ross,
says,
that is great, dude.
We're at the
says
hour
just call him
54
Ross.
mark and figuring this all out. So there we go.
Love it.
Ross says, let's get sentimental. Can you talk about the first time you went to Dodger Stadium? Was it with your family, friends? ? I was fortunate. I grew up getting to go to Dodger games, growing up north of Los Angeles. And so I feel I can't remember specifics, but I think we were lucky enough to be able to go to like 3 to 5 games per year And usually I'm a twin. So it was me and my twin brother and my mom. The three of us would go, occasionally grandma or grandpa. My dad just doesn't like crowds. He's like the ultimate, like, so I'm going to drive an hour and then walk 25 minutes and then get home at 11:30 p.m. when I could just watch this entire game on my television. That's my dad. So we would do like a 5-game pack, I think, and we'd go to 3 together, and my brother would get to pick 1 game and I'd get to pick 1 game. And that was the crew. So I don't have a specific memory of like my first time, but I was just lucky. And then the craziest thing ever, I mean, we lived 40 miles away from Dodger Stadium. And one year when I was in middle school, my mom got season tickets and we were out of reserved 3 season tickets. And it was just, we didn't go to all of them. It was right when eBay was starting up. So it was like the first time you could kind of sell tickets online and do that whole kind of a thing. But I mean, we probably went to 25 to 30 games.
That's
just
awesome.
like a random Tuesday night, cruising home at 11:45. My mom's getting up for work at 5 something. We're going to school. Like, it was pure insanity. I think she realized it after the game. So that's some Dodger Stadium memories from me. Anthony?
I don't remember like clearly like the first time I ever went. We've been going since I was a baby essentially. But there's photographic evidence. I was probably 3 or 4, and my parents took me to a game, and I have on the helmet, right? Before they had ear flat, I had it on that helmet, Dodger shirt, whatever I'm wearing. And this was back in the day when people used to fill up at 76 in the parking lot before you head out.
Yeah, baby.
So we go over there to fill up, and Pedro Guerrero is filling up, Mike Scioscia is filling up, and Steve Sachs filling up. And my mom got them to each hold me and take a separate picture with me in my Dodger outfit. And those pictures exist to this day. They're in some photo album. Picture of Mike Scioscia holding me, Pedro Guerrero holding me, and Steve Sachs holding me. When I started covering baseball, this is another funny part of this. When I started covering baseball, I told Mike, and I was a national guy. I moved from Milwaukee at the time back to LA. And during an Angels game, I was just sitting in the dugout, and Mike Scioscia was there. He's watching the guys on the field, and there's the media scrum had already finished. I tell him this story. He's cracking up. And so the next day or the next series, whenever I find the picture, or I have my mom take a picture of it or something and send it to me, I go back and I show Scioscia this, and he's like, "Can I get a copy of that?" So we eventually make a copy. I give it to him. And he's like, "This is awesome. Thank you." The next time I see him, he gives it back to me. It's framed, and he signed it and wrote a message on it.
So
awesome.
I'm glad that he signed it, Anthony, because I know you may or may not have been asked this question once already. I was going to say, are you sure that it was those 3, like that it was the players that you were seeing and not somebody else?
Looked like it.
Yeah.
Oh, you like imposters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Just
maybe
some
they just went in uniform to the game. Like, but
2-year-old
Scioscia
Anthony just thought it was Scioscia.
signed it, so that verifies it for us.
I've
So
seen
know
the
you're
I've
good.
seen the pictures. I know what these guys look like. It was them. Yes.
Okay. Matt,
Fair
you got a
question.
story?
Yeah. So actually, my first like vivid memory that I have of going to Dodger Stadium was the night that Fernando Tatis hit the 2 grand slams in one
Crazy.
inning. I have the distinct honor of having been there in person and thinking like, man, what the heck? And I don't know if that will off the same picture.
this
Like, I
always
don't know.
happen?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll ever be done. Honestly, I mean,
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. So there you go.
The good news is we've officially passed the marathon that Matt and I did on Sunday.
Yeah. Is this where I just stretch it out for 57 more seconds, Matt?
you
get us
have to. The
our mark?
people got mad at me that I shut ours off like at 1:59 is what it ended at. Because
Yeah,
I
well,
noticed the
sometimes-
clock, I admit it, I acknowledged it. People were saying keep going, and it ended, and so then I felt bad. So let's give them a full 2 hours.
Well, I'll
tonight.
answer a couple questions. Yes, I am a twin. He doesn't look anything like me, so there's not somebody that looks just like me. If you don't know me, I'm not very tall. I joke that worldwide I am average height. If you incorporate some countries around the world who maybe the average height is a little lower, I get to worldwide average of about 5'8". Dead serious when I say this. My twin brother is 6'3". So he has the distinct pleasure of, after graduating high school, he went from 5'8" to 6'3". He grew 7 inches in the 16 months after high school. which is hilarious. So I can assure you, you will never confuse me
You
for my
probably
brother.
ate cheese to grow, and you didn't eat your cheese, and so you
Could have been.
stayed
He
high.
definitely liked milk more than I did. So if you want to believe in milk, that would be that. And yeah. And I grew up in the Thousand Oaks vicinity. That's usually where I tell people I grew up, just to give them a ballpark of a place. People from Southern California. And Noisy Ninja, I am absolutely the older of the two twins. Made it out first, obviously. So there you go. 1 minute older than my twin brother. But no, not Santa Clarita. To be determined if I am the evil twin, to clarify for people there. You'll never know him. My brother's incredibly successful. So that was one of the funny things for those that are in like the business-ish world. Oh, I guess Anthony Forbes. Here we are. Forbes does a 30 under 30 list every single year in like 100 categories. When I was 29 and my brother was 29, my brother was on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. So your boy never made the 30 under 30 list, but my brother did. He was like a startup guy in San Francisco. He's still there. So
Awesome. I'm going to have to hang out with him next time I go up there.
Well, and you guys were both at the same game. I think I almost connected you guys. I forget what it was, Anthony, but you and my brother were at a game. So
we'll have to do that. We'll have to do that next time.
Yep. And no other siblings. I joke my parents had me and him, and they were like, yep, we're never doing kids ever again. This was probably a terrible idea. And why did we think that was going to be happening? So there you go. And yes, I do not look at my brother and wish my life was different, because I look at things like, you know what he doesn't get to do? He doesn't get to come on here and talk about the Dodgers all the time. So take that.
There you go.
Forbes 30 under 30 list. So
Jeff, Ross is saying to tell your brother to go to Stanford.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Maybe your brother should be invited to do a lecture at Stanford, and then that's the way this could happen. So Ross,
and in case you
tell Stanford to invite Jeff's brother. That's how this works. That's Jeff's brother, Jeff of DodgerHeads, his brother.
Yeah, exactly right. There you go. My brother is a Dodgers fan. He lives in the city in San Francisco. He pseudo adopted the A's as a secondary team because he could take his kids there and afford it.
That's
fair.
And
he hates the Giants, so that was never happening. But
obviously, he's a good guy.
I don't think he's still an A's fan. Did become a Warriors fan, which hard not to when you basically are there for the entire Steph Curry run. But Lakers won tonight. Anthony, it looks like, beat Phoenix.
Yeah, I had it on the iPad over here.
Did they lose, Matt?
No, they won, but the game got crazy. Like, go watch highlights.
I saw you want my hottest sports take ever that's going to offend everybody? Should we just go out with this?
I think I've heard it already, but yeah, save it. Share it.
I like Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Go Oregon Duck, baby. He was awesome. So that people hate that. He got ejected. LeBron was shooting a technical free throw to win the game, I believe, and missed it, right?
To tie the game, missed it. But it was still the Lakers' ball. Then he got fouled on a 3-point, which it looked so, but they gave it to him, and then I don't know, just crazy. Marcus Smart had some interesting plays tonight in the fourth quarter. So go watch.
Dylan Brooks was doing some pretty typical Dylan Brooks things tonight.
Yeah. Hey, maybe even
extreme Dylan Brooks things, Matt.
It was like he is a lot on any given night. I felt like tonight he was really he took it up a level.
Well, you don't see LeBron get that animated like when he's pissed like that. Tonight he was not happy.
It was hilarious. I was listening to Bill Simmons recently, and he made this comment, which I just thought was the funniest thing in the world. And he's like, "Every team Dylan Brooks is on is good. Like wherever he goes."
I have seen that.
He goes to Houston, they get good. He goes to Phoenix, they get good.
I have seen that he's getting called a floor raiser, right? In the NBA circle.
Well, it was the funniest thing was
I like how there's no other this is classic Bill Simmons. No other context around that take.
What's the context in Phoenix? This team wasn't supposed to be any good. They got rid of Durant.
That great right now. They're like 4 or 5 games over 500.
Did you see how bad they were last year?
Well, that was a disaster of a roster, though.
Well, not anymore because Dylan
Brooks. The roster fits a lot better this year.
Because Dylan Brooks is there. Just saying. So shout out to Dylan Brooks. People hate him. But the funniest thing was it was the LeBron thing where he refused to talk to reporters, and everyone was like, this guy's never going to play in the NBA again. He's going to go to China or whatever. And then he signed that $80 million deal. And, my guy's killing it. Shout out to Dylan Brooks. So Lakers won. When Lakers Nation is tweeting out a pool report of the referees after the game, it tells you everything you need to know about how tonight went.
Yeah, so. And our guy Ross has been active in the chat tonight. He's saying he recognized Anthony from Lakers shows too. Yes, we have Lakers Nation is our sister site, and you are seeing Anthony over there periodically, kind of on a nice little routine. With
typically
Trevor.
At least once a week with Trevor.
Yeah. So Anthony was kind enough to lend his expertise over to that side, and balance everything with and still doing stuff with us. Which, by the way, we're at 2 hours and 5 minutes now. My prediction is going to be once our top 25 list is out, the next like Sunday night video type thing, like once the full list has been unveiled, our next live show I think is then going to be our longest show of the off season.
Yeah,
I could see that.
My prediction.
I'll end with this. Shout out to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, by the way, who are joining us. But this Tuesday, I always hate prefacing things because things could change. But as far as what is scheduled for now, the newest Dodgers beat reporter, Katie Wu of The Athletic, is set to join us live on Tuesday night this week on DodgerHeads. So Bruce has the night off. Katie is going to be hopping in. So you will not want to miss that one. You can ask questions. She's awesome. We've had her on our show before when they traded for Tommy Edman. So that's going to be a good show. But stay tuned for that on Tuesday. DodgerBlue.com. Again, the top 25 starting tomorrow. 5 players, and then a video posting on Saturday night as well. So we appreciate everybody for hopping in. Go ahead, Matt.
One last, sorry, everybody. I know we keep saying we're ending here. I want to thank everybody who watched and commented on our Tom Verducci interview. Yeah. I'm glad that it was as received as it was. I know Jeff and I, when I had reached out to MLB Network, and a big thank you to MLB Network for working with us to get that scheduled. I was hopeful when I reached out to them, and they were very easy to work with and got that done quickly. Jeff, you did it. I mean, you always do a great job, Jeff, but you did a great job. And I'm glad that our audience enjoyed it as much as I did, because I wasn't entirely sure. I know that he's obviously an established name. He's had a great career, but everybody has different tastes and reporters and who they like. I think Verducci is one of the more respected. I mentioned to you, Jeff, whenever he does write stuff on Sports Illustrated, like I always want to read it. And his story, I mean, you guys could have, speaking of 2 hours, if Verducci ever wants to come on, there's an open invitation for him to sit down with us for 2 hours, and we'll get all the baseball stories out of him.
Yeah, there might need to be an hour and 20 minutes of commercials mixed in, though, as well. I'm not sure about that one. I'm just kidding. Okay, if you watch the special. Yeah, it's great. It's great. The special is great. We appreciate Verducci. Have you guys watched the MLB Network special?
Not yet, but your comment just scared me. Were there a bunch of commercials?
It's a lot. If you can get a version where you can fast forward
I have commercials,
okay, yeah, then you're in good shape. You'll enjoy it. It's first of all, I thought it was going to be like an hour. I believe it's 2 hours long, which I wasn't.
Many commercials, yeah.
And it was, somebody commented like, "Man, there were a lot of commercials." I'm like, I'm glad I wasn't the only one that thought that. The content is incredible. If you can fast forward through it, you're in business. So there you go. Yeah, back to back says commercials weren't a problem. Recorded it.
Yeah, so, I have it recorded, so
yeah.
I'll be good there too.
Yeah. I'm in that boat as well. So Jeff, we won't feel your pain, sadly.
No, you won't, but you'll probably pay attention to how many times you have to click that button.
Yeah,
so, folks, that will do us. 2 hours and 8 minutes. That is Matt. That is Anthony. I am Jeff. Check out DodgerBlue.com. Check out Dodger Blue 1958 on the app, on social media, DodgerHeads podcast, everywhere you get it. Enjoy the rest of your night. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.